Men don't tattoo phoenixes. Women don't tattoo Long. And evil Long's eyes are never painted. The statue of Guan Yu never opens its eyes. Tattooing was called xiqing in ancient times. It is a Chinese culture with thousands of years of history. In ancient times, animals were considered totems. Shaving the hair and getting tattoos were common practices of primitive witchcraft. Tattooing evolved from the teachings of the Zhou Yi. Throughout history, people believe that tattoos are life totems on their bodies and can change a person's destiny. Following the principles of feng shui from the Zhou Yi, using ghosts, deities, and asuras as life totems for tattooing, the person who changes destinies through tattooing is called Yin Tattoo Master. My name is Cheng Yu, and I am a traditional tattooist. A middle-aged man named Zhang Tianba came to my shop today. He claimed that he was introduced by a friend and came specifically to ask me to modify his tattoo design. When I heard that he was introduced by a friend, I quickly got up and welcomed him in. Then Zhang Tianba ordered 2 of his men to guard outside and not let anyone in. But when Zhang Tianba unbuttoned his clothes, revealing the tattoos on his body, but I couldn't help but stare blankly. It turned out to be a dragon tattoo across his shoulder. Seeing my surprised expression, Zhang Tianba looked very proud. Seeing my reaction, I decided to show some real skills. Holding my chin, I slowly said, "In ancient times, the Long Lord Descends was invincible. But as the saying goes, a fierce dragon cannot defeat the local snake. However, brother, with your strong spirit and tough luck, combined with the skills of a master, you've not only withstood but have definitely been smooth sailing in recent years. But your dragon forehead is engraved with a king, colorful and dark green. A pair of tiger teeth poking out of the dragon's mouth, symbolizing the resemblance of a tiger emerging from a dragon. This is a major taboo. If nothing unexpected happens, you are already a dead man." Upon hearing this, Zhang Tianba's eyes were filled with shock. He grabbed my hand excitedly and said, "Brother, you indeed have great skills. I have asked so many people, but only you figured it out. Please quickly make some changes to the picture to save me." Hearing his words, I nodded. Later, I touched his tattoo and said, "Bro, isn't it foolish to get this kind of tattoo? This dragon looks weird and out of place." The conflict between the dragon and the tiger must have made your recent days uncomfortable. With continuous bad luck, beware that disaster might be looming over you. The design is too complicated. The key to a good tattoo lies in its sharp lines and overall coherence. Poorly executed intricate designs may lead to trouble. Do you have any thoughts on it yourself? Can you help me add some details to the eyes? I was also startled when I heard that Zhang Tianba actually wants to add some finishing touches. I asked him, "Do you know what will happen if we add some details to this Long?" "Little did I know," Zhang Tianba said. "Adding some finishing touches is definitely a lifesaver. With the eyes of the Long engraved, this dragon will exude great momentum and suppress that tiger." Upon hearing this, I sighed and said, "That makes sense, after all. But you forgot that now Long and the tiger are one body. Giving the evil Long eyes will also give the fierce tiger eyes. Changing it like this will only make things worse and lead to death." Upon hearing my words, Zhang Tianba was scared and sweating profusely. He knelt on the ground, begging me to save his life. I told him not to worry. Let's first make changes to this picture before we continue. Before making changes, I still need to ask about the origin of this Long fighting tiger picture, so that I can address the issue accurately. Later, according to Zhang Tianba, this tiger was left behind by a ghost when it captured him when he was a child. A white tiger with clear color patterns has come to the mountain. Not only did that tiger snatch many livestock, it also killed several hunters who entered the mountain, including his father. Later, everyone was afraid too, so they switched from attacking to defending and set up night watches in the village. But his mother and his brother disappeared. The night watchman said that the 2 of them left on their own, stumbling and staggering. The next night, he had a dream that his missing older brother came to see him, saying there was treasure in the mountains. He followed him out in a daze, and was then carried away by a tiger. He couldn't remember what happened afterwards. The elderly people in the village said that this is the tiger's ghost slave. Tigers do not eat their cubs, but the tiger's ghost slave is an exception. It is said that people who have been eaten by tigers will turn into ghosts controlled by tigers, specifically luring their own relatives to be eaten by the tiger. At that time, a master passed by the village. After hearing about this incident, he borrowed a rifle from the villagers and went into the mountains alone. After half a day, the wise person brought him back. He just went too late, and everyone else had been eaten. He was scared out of his wits, as if his 3 souls and 7 spirits had all fled. The expert said it was as if the spirit of an evil tiger had possessed him. So the expert did a calculation for him. The expert said that since he was born with a strong destiny, he tattooed a dragon design across his shoulder for him. He said that with this evil dragon design, he can defeat the wicked tiger. After hearing his story, I was a bit curious and asked, "If the tiger caught your whole family, why didn't it eat you? Children's meat is more tender and tasty, isn't it?" Zhang Tianba didn't know how to respond when asked this question. He said it's possible that his father killed all 3 tiger cubs. I guess the mother tiger without cubs saw him as a cub. I heard his response and thought it was possible. Perhaps his father also saw this point, so he fought to kill the 3 tiger cubs before he died, giving him a chance to survive. Thinking of these things, Zhang Tianba's expression also looked desolate. And I explained slowly. The pattern you have, the dragon producing a tiger, from the perspective of yin-yang theory, it is the evil tiger's yin spirit causing trouble again. I will remove it for you to take a look. He heard that the problem was solved. Zhang Tianba looked very happy. But he also felt a little worried. Can this picture still serve its original purpose? I turned around and smiled. Don't worry. I guarantee it will be as effective as before. When the pattern is restored, I will give you some finishing touches. With your current fortune, you can even soar to greater heights. Upon hearing my words, Zhang Tianba immediately smiled and said, Thank you for your kind words, Brother Chang. By the way, how much will it cost? I extended 3 fingers to indicate 3,000. Upon hearing this number, Zhang Tianba immediately became anxious. Of course, it wasn't because it was too expensive, but rather he felt it was too cheap. Excitedly he said, Bro, do you look down on me or do you think that my life, Zhang Tianba, is only worth 3,000 yuan? I hastily waved my hand to explain, saying, There are rules in this industry. Editing a picture only takes an hour, so charging 3,000 is already a good deal. After hearing me say this, Zhang Tianba didn't say anything else. He just hugged my hand and said, Yes, bro, I really like you. I, Zhang Tianba, owe you a huge favor. I can't reach out my hand to the turf on your side, but I do know a few brothers who hang out around here. It's absolutely no problem for me to have them take care of you. Shortly after, we exchanged contact information, and Zhang Tianba left. After he left, I looked at the freshly inked ink cartridge and smiled, saying, Lao Huer, can you say something? Upon hearing my call, the ink began to swirl, extending 2 claws. This is the tiger I just sketched from the previous picture. The Yin spirit little tiger timidly exposed its tiger head. It then quickly retreated back. I am considering if it's because of the different language. Without thinking much, I just covered the ink bottle. The one on Zhang Tianba's body is not a female tiger. It is a cub. The tiger mistook him for its own cub, so it didn't eat him. This time, I used long to contend with the tiger, and when the image cracked, I took the cub out. Destiny is always in your own hands. People cannot place all their hopes on ghosts and gods. Just as I was thinking about how to deal with this tiger cub in spirit, suddenly there came Miao Qianqian shouting from outside the house. She asked me that a luxury car just parked at the door, with black-clad bodyguards guarding the entrance. Are you in trouble? I turned around and unkindly replied, Little girl, Don't speak recklessly. That's the big boss coming to visit my store. You have classes in college now, right? If you have nothing to do, don't keep coming over to me. At this moment, Miao Qianqian suddenly picked up a barbed needle. She casually asked, "Are those mysterious things you told me about really effective?" They are definitely effective, but the results take time. And you must have a positive mindset, work actively and earnestly. However, destiny is always in your hands. One cannot rely all hopes on gods and spirits. When she heard this, Miao Qianqian was already a bit impatient. She waved her hand and said, "Okay, brother, don't talk to me anymore. I just asked you one question. I invite you to join me in making big money together." As soon as I heard this, I knew this girl really knows how to make money. But I cannot afford less funding to revitalize the old craft. So I cleared my throat and asked with a smile, "And what about the customers?" Zhao Little Lu, she has now hooked up with a business partner of my dad. That sly little fox is only a few years older than me. When we meet, I have to address her as Auntie. Speaking of Zhao Little Lu's name, I couldn't help but freeze for a moment too. Zhao Little Lu was our school's beauty in high school. I didn't expect that she has entered the upper-class society now. So I agreed to this business deal and told Miao Qianqian to have her come to the store tomorrow. The next afternoon, I looked at the pattern of the dragon and tiger on my hand thoughtfully. I am ready to study it carefully before making any final decisions. At this moment, the store door was suddenly pushed open. A beautiful woman walked in with a high and confident stride. When I saw that Zhao Little Lu had arrived, I quickly stood up to greet her and complimented. "Zhao Little Lu, you are still so beautiful." I didn't expect that Zhao Little Lu would just snort disdainfully and say, "Don't try to get close. Who would want to have any contact with a bunch of losers like you? When Qianqian mentioned you, I thought you were doing big business. Turns out you just run this crappy shop, specializing in tattoos for second-rate people to make a living." Listening to her sarcastic words, I knew she was still the same. So I didn't bother to say much to her and straightforwardly asked, "Miss Little Lu, is there something bothering you?" Zhao Little Lu glanced around my shop and said, "I heard that your tattoos can bring people good luck, help with their careers, and ward off disasters. Is it really that magical? Why don't you tattoo yourself and make it a showcase on your body? I can tell just by looking at you that your skills are not that good." Upon hearing her words, a fire was burning in my heart. I felt that this woman was just looking for trouble, but I forced a smile to ease the awkwardness. Just when I thought this deal was going south, Zhao Little Lu suddenly noticed the painting of the pattern of dragon and tiger on the table. She exclaimed excitedly, "Oh my! How did this super expert end up here at your place?" I knew this woman must be very cultured when she could tell who someone was just by looking at their tattoos. Before I could say anything, Zhao Little Lu's attitude made a 180-degree change. She came up and stopped my hand, saying, "Brother, you really keep a low profile. You're already connected with Zhang Tianba. We are old classmates. You must help me this time. My husband and I haven't been getting along recently. Could you tattoo a picture for me that promotes harmony in marriage and strengthens love?" I shook off her hand. Later, I thought and replied, "In your situation, you can tattoo a lotus flower emerging pure from the mud, symbolizing faithful love." The lotus flower is considered a symbol of the Western Pure Land in Buddhism, representing the nurturing place of the soul. The Buddha's seat is also called a lotus seat, symbolizing purity. Most lotus flowers bloom with paired flowers on a single stem, known as conjoined lotus blooms. But emotions must be pure. Are you sure you are truly in love? Upon hearing my words, Zhao Little Lu also felt a little guilty and quickly said, "Well, it's not true love for us. It's not that I'm impure, but that guy has another woman outside. I must snatch him back, otherwise my status won't be secure. Then I can't help you anymore. I am here to enhance your luck and momentum, to boost what you already have. One is driven by wealth, the other by desire. Without even a foundation of a relationship, how can we talk about fostering love? Xiao Little became anxious as soon as I said this. She pushed me against the edge of the table and coquettishly said, "Come on, brother. Can't you really help me? If that's not possible, can you check if there's any vacancy? I can't be your mistress. How about being your secretary?" I watched as her face got closer and closer. I quickly reached out my hand to stop her and said, "No, no, no. I can't accommodate your esteemed highness." At this moment, I remembered the tiger cub Yin spirit that I had just taken out from the painting of Zhang Tianba. I suddenly had an idea in my mind. I then said, "You're lucky. I have another way." When Little Lu heard what I said, his eyes immediately lit up. Excitedly, he asked, "I knew it. I had long noticed that you were hiding something. If Zhang Tianba came to find you, your skills must be extraordinary. Quickly, spill it to me." I looked at the ink cylinder in my hand, hesitated for a while, and said, "Do you know about raising minor demons? I happen to have one on hand. I can help you invite a minor demon to possess you. However, this method is malevolent and may shorten your lifespan, but the effect is absolutely dominant." Upon hearing this, Xiao Little couldn't care about so much anymore. She gritted her teeth and said, "Seeking wealth and danger. If that mistress takes over my position, it's the same as destroying me. It's no different from death. I agree." I sighed and didn't say much more. I asked her to take off her top and lie down on the bed. Then I started to prepare the tools on my own. Fierce tiger protecting its cub, please possess the ghost. Excessive greed, ghostly thorns manifesting spirits. My grandfather once said that my luck is bad, and doing this job is too damaging. Hidden merit, lets me tattoo the righteous gods and walk the path of openness and righteousness. But my fate is determined by me, not by heaven. Tattooing, as a craft, is divided into righteous designs and sinister ones. The righteous invite deities, while the sinister summon spirits or ghosts. Each lineage of tattooists has ancestral ghost pattern tattoo designs. In my family, starting from my grandfather, we have accumulated 72 ghost pattern tattoo designs. Many competitors want to eliminate us, but the unique skill of the Chung family cannot be lost with me. I looked at little Lu Zhao lying on the bed and said slowly, "This is not about love. You can't just get a tattoo about love. Since you've been together for so long, I will tattoo something about family love for you. Protective tiger and cubs. I just happen to have a Yin spirit of a tiger cub in my hand. Let it possess you. Even if you are strangers, they will treat you as their closest family." Upon hearing this, Xiao Little excitedly exclaimed, "I always thought that a tiger wouldn't eat its own cubs. He definitely won't dare to be cold towards me anymore. This move will definitely work." Seeing that Xiao Little had made up her mind, I didn't say much either and immediately began to help her with her tattoo. The protective tiger and cubs tattoo was soon completed. I took out a mirror for her to see the effect. Xiao Little looked at the protective tiger and cubs in the mirror and smiled with satisfaction, saying, "It's really beautiful. With this tattoo on my back, my old man at home won't kick me out and will continue to give me money to spend." "Yes, anyway, you're just aiming for wealth and prosperity. After getting this tattoo, he will treat you like his own child, protecting you like a fierce tiger protecting its cubs." Listening to these words, Xiao Little was overjoyed. He quickly put on his clothes and planned to go home to see the effect. Before leaving, she gave me a deposit of 10,000 yuan and said that if it really worked, not to mention the remaining 2,000 yuan, she would directly give me a big red envelope of 100,000 yuan. But before leaving, I still need to remind her, remember, family affection is mutual. If you betray, you are missing the chance to be the protective tiger and cubs. The Yin spirit you worship behind your back will come to settle scores with you. However, Xiao Little did not pay attention and just perfunctorily replied to me with a sentence. Looking at the departing Xiao Little, I felt a faint uneasiness in my heart, but I can only hope that nothing bad will happen. 3 days later, I leaned against the front door of the shop smoking a cigarette, and Zhao Lilu appeared in front of me in a black convertible sports car. Now, she seems to be dressed as an elegant lady, haughtily saying to me, "Your plan is really amazing, Brother Sheng." Now, she is obedient to me. In just 3 days, she spent more than 5 million on me. I casually stubbed out the cigarette and threw it on the ground, then approached him and said, "Didn't Brother Sheng warn you not to exploit him? 500,000 in 3 days. In a few days, you will empty his pockets. Take it easy and think long term." I didn't expect that Zhao Lilu would disdainfully say, "What's there to fear? If I can't exploit him anymore, I'll just drain him and find another sugar daddy." Upon hearing this, I immediately solemnly said, "Absolutely not." Don't forget my previous reminder. But obviously, the currently excited Zhao Lilu can't hear what I'm saying at all. She was still impatiently taking off her clothes. She asked me to check her tattoo again. I was not vague either, and took her to the tattoo room to start the inspection. After confirming that there were no issues, I again reminded her not to take long showers recently, avoid soaking in hot springs, respect the tattoo, and live a good life with Brother Sheng. After all, there are deities watching over you. Zhao Lilu readily agreed and got up to leave. She never mentioned money, so I had to muster up the courage and proactively approach her, saying, "Miss Lilu, didn't we agree that if it really works, you would give me a big red envelope with 100,000 renminbi in it?" Unexpectedly, Zhao Lilu actually denied knowing me and turned hostile. She turned back, glared at me, and loudly said, "I had someone investigate. If you really didn't know that Zhang Tianbao person and just passed by to get a tattoo, yet left in less than an hour, are you still trying to deceive me?" Being scolded by him like that, the anger in my stomach surged up all at once. What deception, whether or not it's deception? You yourself don't even know whether this tattoo is useful or not. Zhao Lilu sneered and said, "Fortunately, it works, or else I would have shut down your smelly cheating shop." Seeing the disgusting face of Zhao Lilu, I clenched my fists in anger. I also understand now that this woman is here just to show off and deceive me. I will have one last check of the tattoo. When she saw that I stopped talking, Zhao Lilu still looked very smug and said, "Don't blame me either. That's just how the world is. People devour each other. Let me give you a good lesson. There is a saying that goes like this: despicableness is the passport of the despicable. Nobility is the epitaph of the noble." I have nothing to say as I watched Zhao Lilu saunter away with pride. I was actually played by her this time. Indeed, heroes still struggle at the beauty's gate. It's quite embarrassing. But is the matter really over like this? Of course not possible. Zhao Lilu, who returned home, had long forgotten all my instructions. As soon as she returned home, she wanted Brother Sheng to give her another 10 million. She wants to go out and have fun on the weekend. But Brother Sheng really has no money left. Zhao Lilu has already spent over 5 million in the past few days. The company's liquidity is so low that if it's embezzled, the company won't be able to recover. Upon hearing this, Zhao Lilu kicked him away. She looked displeased and said, "You're unwilling to spend a little money for me. What qualifications do you have to say you love me?" Brother Sheng suggested that we sell the company and travel around the world together. How about flying together like two birds with one wing? Zhao Lilu, after hearing this suggestion, expressed a look of disdain, saying, "If you sell the company, how will we live in the future? Do you expect me to eat steamed buns with pickled vegetables with you? If you can't afford to support me, then I will find another sugar daddy." Brother Sheng had nothing more to say at this point. His patience had reached its limit. He was seen grabbing Zhao Lilu's hair. He slammed her heavily onto the table. What was he about to do when he loosened his belt? Zhao Lilu thought he was up to something when he saw him like that. She had no awareness of the seriousness of the problem at all. She was still saying, "Okay, this will be the last time. After this, we will each go our separate ways, owing nothing to each other. Let's not hinder each other's path to prosperity. Little did they know, at this moment Brother Sheng had completely lost his sanity. He was possessed by the tiger cub-eating spirit, even though a tiger does not eat its cubs. But Zhao Little Lu's betrayal has already ruined this chance to protect the tiger and cubs. A few days later, I was idle in the tattoo shop with nothing to do. When I was about to go out for a walk, Miao Qianqian suddenly ran over in a panic. She asked me if I had watched the news, that Brother Sheng actually ate Zhao Little Lu alive. The moment I saw the news, my heart skipped a beat. I snatched the phone from Miao Qianqian's hand. I seriously looked it up. Famous tycoon Huang Qiangxing killed his lover Zhao Little Lu at home. The method was very cruel. The suspect has been arrested. After being arrested, Huang Qiangxing had no expression on his face. He even showed a sinister smile. It is said that a tiger does not eat its own cubs, but this kind of person who disregards family ties should be eliminated. I want to merge with her. Let her be forever in my body, never able to leave me. After reading the entire report, I also understand the power of this ghost tattoo. I have long warned Zhao Little Lu to take this relationship seriously. I didn't expect the tragedy to still happen. What ultimately consumed her was her insatiable greed. The woman is 6 months pregnant, but she still wants to bring her dog along to get a tattoo. Her name is Xiaoro. She is also my former classmate. When I saw her pregnant and wanting to get a tattoo, I quickly reminded her that it's not advisable to get tattoos during pregnancy as it may affect the fetus. But Xiaoro touched the dog's head and said, "I must get a tattoo. My family's manhwa is not going to live much longer. I have to tattoo it on my body to bless me. If you don't do it, I will find someone else." I looked at the lively golden retriever in front of me and couldn't help but feel puzzled. How could you tell it's not going to live much longer when it's so lively and active? At that moment, I noticed the slightly swollen belly of Xiaoro, with 2 strong paws pounding vigorously, as if pushing against her abdomen, looking as if begging for help. That's a ghost fetus. I was also startled when I saw this scene. I paused before managing to squeeze out a smile and asked, "Have you recently gotten involved with something shady?" Xiaoro looked somewhat surprised when I figured it out. But actually, this is nothing. In our line of work, you can always pick up some tricks of the trade. I asked her to tell me about it. Maybe I can help her solve it. I said this out of goodwill. But Xiaoro doesn't seem to appreciate it. When she walked out of the store, she cryptically said to me, "I didn't expect you to have some skills, but this matter doesn't involve you. I can't tell you because I've already found someone more skilled to help me." Although I don't know what Xiaoro has hidden from me, there must be something suspicious going on. The next day, Miao Qianqian and I found the so-called Master Zhao mentioned by Xiaoro, the half-immortal, before we could say anything. Zhao, the half-immortal, already recognized my identity and said, "This young man is from the industry. You have a heavy energy on you. Being able to survive until now proves that your skills are not bad." Before I could even speak, Zhao, the half-immortal, had already figured out my identity. It seemed Xiaoro's words were true. So I decided to test his words. But this time, he didn't wait for me to speak. Miao Qianqian directly asked, "Uncle, did a guest named Xiaoro come to see you before?" Upon hearing the name Xiaoro, Zhao, the half-immortal, was momentarily stunned. He then turned and ran, apologizing to Xiaoro as he ran, saying that the girl's situation had nothing to do with him. "It's not my fault that she was harmed. Please spare me." Luckily, Miao Qianqian was quick and caught Zhao, the half-immortal, in one go. She then pressed him against the table and asked the old scammer, "Xiaoro, what exactly happened there? Hurry up and explain it to me clearly." He looked at the imposing Miao Qianqian. Zhao, the half-immortal, instantly became scared. He spoke about the matter with a terrified expression. Her birth chart reveals a karmic flaw. She is fated to bear no offspring. In theory, she is unable to have children her whole life. But now she is pregnant. The child is not conceived normally, perhaps not even human, but a ghost fetus. I later secretly investigated and found that there were constant sounds of dogs whimpering coming from her house. I also saw her sneakily removing dead dogs in the middle of the night. I suspect their whole family are twisted individuals who enjoy abusing dogs. They got what they deserved. My moral compass is not strong enough to discern anything, and she didn't say anything herself. So, I had to just give her some talismans to appease the situation. Please don't trouble me. I did my best. Upon hearing what Zhao, the half-immortal, said, I immediately realized something was amiss. Xiaoro loves dogs so much, so it's unlikely she would abuse them. So I immediately dialed Xiaoro's phone number, intending to ask her directly. Xiaoro, we are all old classmates, so stop hiding it. I already have a general idea of what's going on in your stomach. If you want a way out, tell me the truth. Upon hearing this, Xiaoro hesitated for a while on the phone, then slowly said, I'll tell you, but you must not tell anyone. Otherwise, I won't survive. You know that I have been a top student since I was young, but to maintain this elite lifestyle, I am truly exhausted. I look bright and shining in front of others, but behind the scenes, I am tired like a dog. There are always a lot of pressures that I have nowhere to release. One time I was inspecting the dormitories of 3 interns. Unexpectedly, I caught them abusing a cat. Almost as if possessed, I joined them. I know this is not right, but I got addicted. Later, I locked 3 stray cats in cages and didn't give them any food. In the end, only a skinny black cat was left. When I dissected the black cat, I discovered that she was pregnant with 3 kittens in her belly. The black cat stared at me fiercely before she died. Her eyes were particularly chilling. One night, I had a dream. I dreamed that the black cat climbed onto my stomach and asked me why I did that. After that strange dream, I became pregnant. My husband was over the moon, but I felt something was wrong. In fact, after the black cat incident, those 3 college students had gradually left and died within a few months. But I heard you were carrying a dog corpse in the middle of the night. Is it because the cat spirit came back to find you, leading to a battle between cats and dogs that resulted in the death of your dog? Yes. That's exactly what happened. The cat spirit is very fierce. I had 5 dogs, but 2 of them were killed. Now Mau Mau is also dying. I need to tattoo it on my body to bless and protect me. After hearing this, I understand it now. Cats are spiritual beings to begin with. The black cat that devoured 2 companions is already resembling the king of Gu in the Miao region Gu sorcery. Xiaoro wants to survive. Ordinary tattoos are no longer useful. Now, if he wants to get a tattoo, he has to get a Cerberus tattoo. A woman becomes addicted to abusing cats to relieve stress. She locks 3 stray cats in a cage to make them feed on each other. She unexpectedly raised a king of Gu. She wants to save her life now. Ordinary tattoos are no longer effective. She needs to tattoo Cerberus 3 dogs protecting their master spirit infused tattoo. However, to have this tattoo, she needs to have 3 loyal dog spirits possessing her body to make it work. The next day, Xiaoro brought what was left at home. The blood of the 3 dogs came to me. I took the dog blood from her hands. I looked deeply into her eyes. I asked, You weren't there when they were killed, right? Xiaoro quickly shook her head at the words. No, you said they couldn't know it was me who killed them. Otherwise, they wouldn't protect me. Although this act is cruel, it is a matter of life and death, and also a last resort. I didn't say much either, just prepared to start directly. With the original golden-haired figure as the central head, 2 additional heads were added on the sides. The modification of this image was not complicated and was completed quickly. Just as Xiaoro finished dressing and was about to leave, I solemnly reminded her, I know you have endured for a long time to have the life you have today. But to keep it a secret, you need to help the black cat give birth to the babies in its belly. Fulfill its resentment, and it will no longer haunt you. Upon hearing this, Xiaoro was startled and exclaimed anxiously, If I give birth to it, how will the neighbors and aunties in the neighborhood look at me? They will gossip and say that the Lee family daughter-in-law must have done something wicked to give birth to a ghostly creature. This is the sin you brought upon yourself, and you must face it on your own. Give birth to it secretly somewhere, and just tell everyone you had a miscarriage. You were destined to have no children, but now you are carrying a ghost fetus. If you can survive this ordeal, it will already be a blessing from the Bodhisattva. Looking at Xiaorou's departing figure, I didn't say anything more. She is a clever person. She should know how to choose in such a life and death matter. At this time, Miao Qianqian next to me suggested, "Why don't the two of us sneak to her house tonight and watch if the three-headed dog can beat that cat spirit?" I think it's okay. Just as Miao Qianqian and I were talking, a voice came from the door asking, "Are you the traditional tattoo shop that offers blessings, safety, and luck?" "Hello, master. My name is Zhang Qiming. I want to tell you that this is definitely not feudal superstition. I have yin-yang eyes and can see unclean things. Do you believe it?" Upon hearing that the other party has yin-yang eyes, I immediately became interested and replied, "Yin-yang eyes, I believe." Upon hearing that, I believed it. Zhang Qiming placed his hand on his mouth and whispered, "When I was young, I saw two little people lying on the air conditioner, which was particularly scary. I told my dad about it at the time. After investigating, my dad found out that someone had died in that room before. We were so scared that we immediately moved out. Later, I consulted a master and learned the truth. It turned out that the air conditioner was made by hire." As soon as Zhang Qiming finished speaking, he started to laugh heartily while dancing around. Miao Qianqian and I were speechless. I feel like he might be a fool. Later, Miao Qianqian also didn't mince words with him, and just snatched his phone away. She turned to me and said, "This idiot is a popular online streamer, deliberately stirring up trouble to attract traffic. As soon as I heard that, I knew he was here to cause trouble. I won't be polite to him either." I went up and gave him a couple of hits to make him leave quickly. However, Miao Qianqian had a different idea. She squinted her eyes, stopped Zhang Qiming, and said, "This fool coming to us should not be wasted. I have a good idea." After hearing this, Zhang Qiming was so scared that he shivered and quickly said, "Sis, I won't sell my body or organs. Give me a way out, please." In the end, under Miao Qianqian's coercion and temptation, I tattooed a picture of Kue Star kicking the Big Dipper and Zhong Kue catching ghosts on Zhang Qiming. I brought him to Xiaorou's community to see what the situation was. But I still had some doubts and asked Qianqian, "You already paid for that idiot's tattoo, that's fine. What's the point of bringing him here now?" Upon hearing this, Miao Qianqian turned around and smiled, saying, "Brother, you're silly. He likes to court death so much. If I make him carry Zhong Kue on his body, he won't fear any evil spirits. Tonight, if we encounter that cat spirit, our chances of winning will be even higher." Speaking of this, she also pointed ahead at Zhang Qiming and said, "Little Ming, from now on, you just follow me. Consider that picture on your back as my investment in you. You keep courting death, and in the future, when we make money from live streaming, we split it 50-50. Seeing Miao Qianqian's moves, I couldn't help but sigh. I thought to myself, this girl might have truly fallen into a money pit. She is playing this game more skillfully than anyone else. Not long after, a woman dressed in black suddenly appeared, creating a chill in the air. I felt a bit bone-chilling, but I didn't think much of it. But Zhang Qiming stood motionless, while Miao Qianqian next to him called out to him with no response. Suddenly, Zhang Qiming shuddered and turned his head in great fear, saying, "Brother, sister, did you just see that woman in black with a cat face?" When I heard cat face, I thought to myself, this is not good. Sure enough, the next second, barking sounds were heard not far away. It's the cat spirit that has arrived. I quickly rushed to Xiaorou's house. As soon as I entered, I saw Cerberus in a fierce battle with the black cat in spirit. Suddenly behind the black cat in spirit, a huge phantom appeared. Just with one claw, it directly swatted the hellhound away. Witnessing Cerberus being defeated by the black cat Yin spirit, Miao Qianqian quickly pushed Zhang Qiming out. She tore off his shirt. Kue start kicking the Big Dipper. Zhong Kue catching ghosts. Zhong Kue appears. In an instant, there was a sudden sound behind Zhang Qiming like thunder. Swoosh! Evil creature! How dare you act recklessly? The majestic voice suddenly came out of thin air. The black cat, trembling violently all over, finally reverted to its original form. It jumped out of the nearby window. Wait for the black cat to leave. The shadow of Zhong Kui on Zhang Qiming's body is gradually dissipating. He leaned against the wall, breathing heavily, and said, "So there really are ghosts in this world. Scared me to death." But Xiaorou still seems to be immersed in the fear of the black cat. Unable to extricate oneself, I rushed over to comfort and said, "It's okay, it's okay. That thing wouldn't dare to come back in the short term. Just give birth to the child to resolve its resentment. This matter should be over. Don't worry." Xiaorou agreed tearfully. After experiencing a close brush with death tonight, Xiaorou really intends to do as I requested, which also put my mind at ease. I thought things would more or less come to an end here. But just a few days before Xiaorou's due date, an accident happened. Xiaorou walked to the rooftop and jumped down by herself. She was also entangled in power lines during the fall and died. Looking at the scene before me, I broke out in a cold sweat and shivered all over, completely clueless about what was going on. At this time, 3 ghost babies crawled out of Xiaorou's belly. They kept crying out, "Cat spirit, have mercy on us, we were wrong. We shouldn't have abused the cat. Save us." Now I understand as well. Xiaorou was never pregnant with a cat litter in the first place. But it was those 3 college students who abused cats. This is the retaliation of the cat spirit. All things have spirits. Karma retribution. I still couldn't save Xiaorou. I feel very guilty about this. I even deliberately found Zhao, the half-immortal. Zhao, the half-immortal, also heard about Xiaorou's situation. He advised me to be more open-minded. After all, those of us in this line of work inevitably deal with matters of life and death. You don't need to blame yourself too much. Regardless, we have already done our best. If Xiaorou had ended up with me, it would have been even more tragic. I understand his good intentions. After taking a puff of smoke, some of the anxiety in my heart also eased. At this moment, Zhao, the half-immortal, looked at my face and suddenly asked, "But speaking of which, I noticed that your facial features seem a bit off. There's an omen of death on your face. Young man, have you recently gotten involved in something dirty?" Upon hearing his words, I couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. My phone rang the next second. It was an email sent by Xiaorou. Is it scheduled to be sent on the night of expelling the cat spirit? The email stated, "If I am still alive, I will retract this letter. But if you see it, it means I am already dead. You were also involved in what happened back then. Do you still remember Chenlei? It's her. It must be her who has come back." When I saw the name Chenlei, an image of a slightly chubby girl with freckles flashed in my mind. When we were kids, she, Zhang Shun, Xiao Little Lu, Xiaorou, and I used to play together. We grew up together, and she was always bullied by others. That winter, Chenlei fell into the river, and I went to save her. As a result, I ended up lying in bed with a high fever for half a month. However, later I heard that even though Chenlei was pulled out of the water, she didn't survive and passed away. But the events of that year clearly were not as simple as they seemed. Xiaorou's email stated that when you were sick at that time, you had no idea about what happened afterwards. Chenlei was bullied so badly that she jumped into the river to commit suicide. After being pulled out of the water, she hanged herself at the school. Before her death, she left a note under that old locust tree saying, "None of you 4 can escape. You will all end up hanging like me. This is our 4-person hanging pact." I am looking at the content of this email. I couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. I thought to myself that Zhang Shun had his seatbelt tightened around his neck in a previous car accident. Xiao Lilu was tied up with both hands and ate Xiao Rou. Then when he jumped off a building, he got entangled in electric wires. Is this the hanging pact? To dispel the doubts in my heart, I waved goodbye to Xiao, the half-immortal. I am prepared to go find someone to inquire about what happened back then. If someone tells you that your face has changed like this, caused by mites, would you believe it? After saying goodbye to Xiao, the half-immortal that day, I intended to go back and investigate the events of that year. I didn't expect that as soon as I returned to the shop, a customer came in. A person claiming to be Ning Ke, the owner of a beauty shop, came. Although he is a man, his face was heavily made up, giving a faintly ambiguous feeling of not being able to distinguish between masculinity and femininity. I asked him what kind of tattoo he would like. He suddenly grabbed my hand. He said he had encountered a ghost and asked me to help him. Before I could say anything, he quickly closed the door and then turned around, saying, "Everyone knows about dust mites, right? I work in beauty, and many people have dust mite pimples on their faces. Enlarged pores on the face could be dust mite holes. They just burrow into your pores. I'm going to remove my makeup. Would you please take a closer look, sir?" My girlfriend, little Xian, passed away suddenly from a heart attack not long ago. Strange things have been happening these days. These past few nights when I sleep, I keep hearing rustling noises and feel like something is crawling on me and biting me. But when I turn on the light, there's nothing there. It's mites. They are crawling on me. But I can't find them. Ghosts. It must be ghosts. Sir, you must help me. Seeing him holding his head in pain, I secretly thought to myself, bird tattoos that exorcise pests are not non-existent. Golden winged Garuda, Phoenix, Eagle all would work. But Xiao Lilu and Xiao Rou's recent events are too strange. I have to be careful. So I asked him to go back first. I need to think of a solution first. After sending off Ning Ke, I feel it is necessary to ask Xiao, the half-immortal, to go and take a look together. Later, I took the 2 beauty cards given by Ning Ke and arrived at the beauty salon he mentioned. Xiao, the half-immortal, said, "Boss Ning is young but already runs such a big business. Something's not right. Boss Ning doesn't have a wealthy destiny. He might have used some dark magic." I have also seen his face before. Thin and spiritless, with a dim career palace, this is a typical sign of failure. This person is destined to fail in all matters, but now he... Are you saying he found a master and used Yin techniques to change his fate? It is very likely. However, since we were already at the entrance of the beauty salon, we decided to go in for a rejuvenating treatment. Whether it's a person or a ghost, we will find out once we sneak out to take a look. As I walked ahead, Zhao, the half-immortal, also talked to me about the issue of remuneration while walking, saying that he should receive half of the reward once the task is completed. After that, we started the beauty and skincare treatment. The technician girl warmly introduced us to the shop's signature rose oil, and said that after applying it, it would definitely make you look 10 years younger. I am enjoying this top-notch service. I didn't say much. Zhao, the half-immortal, also laughed on the side. But wait for the 2 technicians to walk out of the room. Zhao, the half-immortal, began to vomit uncontrollably. He turned to me with a trembling voice and said, "This thing is not rose oil at all. It's human oil extracted from living people, human oil." This malicious beauty salon actually uses human oil for skin care. The so-called human oil is oil extracted from living individuals. Zhao, the half-immortal, immediately recognized the human oil and knew he had encountered a fellow practitioner. He turned his head, held my hand, and said, "Brother, let's go. We cannot afford to provoke such people. They walk their Yanwan road, and we walk our own single wooden bridge. Walking together does not mean being enemies." I am speechless to see him being so cowardly. I lifted him up and told him not to be cowardly. We've already entered. We should always check out the truth of the matter. Later on, Zhao and I, the half-immortal, started wandering around this beauty salon. We just couldn't find that rose oil no matter what. In the end, we saw a strange door in the corridor on the top floor. This should be it. We were both stunned by what was inside when we opened the door. Inside was unexpectedly a small incense altar. In the middle was a mummified body dressed in a red wedding gown. Seeing this scene, Zhao, the half-immortal, was extremely horrified and said, "This Ning Ke is probably involved in a Miao villager's ghost marriage with goo cultivation, human oil refining. Those are their customs. We can't afford to provoke them with just a fortune teller and a tattoo artist. Let's leave quickly." As soon as he finished speaking, a voice came from behind saying, "Mr. Yu, coming to my beauty salon for treatment, I'm truly flattered. And you've even brought a friend. Is your tattoo design ready? Do I still have a chance to be saved?" When he asked me like that, I instantly felt my scalp tingle, but I forced myself to calm down and said, "Boss Ning, this is not something that can be solved with just a protective tattoo. What's the deal with the mummified corpse enshrined here and the human oil in the club?" When I exposed Ning Ke on the spot, he didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed even more recklessly and said, "Actually, I know I am beyond redemption. I am just holding on to a glimmer of hope. I've killed too many people in my life, and it's all retribution. Even though I wanted to live up to my name, I am still corrupt. Let me introduce you to my wife, little Xin. She raised me, acting as both my foster mother and the person I love the most. Since you both have seen it, let me tell you about it. Some words I've held in for half my life, wanting others to know, so even if I die, I won't feel stifled. You had better pay attention." As he spoke, Ning Ke took a handful of white rice from his pocket. He suddenly slapped himself hard in the face. The next moment, those grains of rice drilled into his face. It turns out that the pores on his face came from this. Ning Ke then began to recall his miserable life. Back then, little Xin and I were kidnapped in the same year. Although little Xin looked like a child, she was actually a 20-something adult suffering from dwarfism. She took me with her, and we escaped together. With nowhere to go, we had to beg on the streets. And that was the real tragedy of my life. Let's start with the story of the oil peddler. The first time we met her, she gave us oil cakes to eat. We all felt that she was a good person. She asked us if we wanted to eat oil cakes every day. Of course, we wanted to. So we followed her back home. After we arrived at the oil seller's house, the two of us started to devour the food. Just as we were eating, the oil seller suddenly said to little Xin, "You are a good one. I have someone to inherit my skills. You should learn from me in the future." At that time, I didn't understand what she meant. Not long after that, I was then thrown harshly into the firewood room by her. In the following days, she kept forcing me to eat oil until the oil started overflowing from my face. She put a bunch of bugs on my face. My pores were stretched open by these bugs. The bugs are digging and moving around inside my pores. I am itching like crazy and really want to scratch, but my hands are tied up and I can't move them at all. At this time, the oil vendor brought another basin of rice. She grabbed a handful and slapped it on my face, feeding me with oily stuff. The human oil that seeped out of my body was the best thing to water the rice grains. The oil seller sprinkled rice grains on me, while introducing little Xin. This is the sinister human rice sorcery of the Miao region. Little Xin stood to the side, nodding without saying a word. The oil peddler then removed the rice from my face. She cooked it into rice, and said that this rice absorbed the nutrients of humans and human oil. Eating it would greatly enhance the body. This is the secret to staying young forever. As she spoke, she didn't forget to forcibly stuff the freshly cooked rice into my mouth, wanting me to taste what the rice I grew tasted like. I hummed and kept my mouth closed, unable to swallow it. The oil woman, seeing that I wouldn't eat it, decided to eat it herself. But just then, Little Xian suddenly appeared behind her, holding up a large rock. She smashed it heavily on her head. I was so shocked to see this scene. Later, little Xian told me that I had been cursed with a goo, my face was beyond healing, and I could only regularly use oil worms to prevent it from decaying. If she were gone, I would die, as no one else could touch me unless she dies. From that day on, she gave me a new name, Ning K, which means, better to have none than to have something subpar. Learn the human rise sorcery. Little Xian and I continued to embark on our wandering journey. However, the cannibalistic world has not changed. We encountered human traffickers again. But since that time, we have become the ones who eat people. Be careful. Having learned the human rise sorcery, an ordinary adult is no longer her opponent. Little Xian hates the human traffickers who kidnapped us. She catches them and plants rice in them. We plant wherever we go, and this has been going on for many years. It's a pity that people with dwarfism already have a shorter lifespan than normal people. Even though we have been using human oil rice for a long time, we can't stop the erosion of diseases. Little Xian left us like this. God is really too unfair to me. When emotions run deep, Ning K's tears keep flowing. Although tears flow into his pores and hurt like hell, for some reason, when he thinks about these things, his tears just won't stop. He has long regarded little Xian as his own family. After listening to the whole story, Zhao, the half-immortal, pointed at him and asked, "So you are still cultivating human oil rice? Not only do you eat human oil rice for beauty, but you also use human oil instead of essential oils for your beauty business." Little Xian has passed away. Without her giving you the oil goo, your face started to rot. So you asked me to give you a tattoo. Yes. I have also told you my story. Those human traffickers are heartless and deserve to be punished. I am eliminating harm for the people. But whether to get a tattoo or save me, it's up to you to decide. But if you don't give me a tattoo, I have one last resort. That is to catch you and give you a goo poison, making you rot with me. Then you will have to save yourself, and I will be saved. As the words have been spoken to this extent, I can only promise to help him with the tattoo, but it has to be done tomorrow. However, Ning K said that he couldn't wait until tomorrow. Upon hearing this, Zhao, the half-immortal, immediately understood. He turned around and ran without forgetting to remind me to run quickly. This damn demon never intended to have a proper conversation from the beginning. He is trying to catch us for the human rise sorcery. I see him running so fast. I immediately followed him. But after all, Ning K has been eating human oil rice for many years, which is not in vain. Seeing him striding forward, he knocked me out with a single chop of his hand. Then he grabbed Zhao, the half-immortal, by the arm. I will be right back. Ghost marriage. Extreme malice of goo sorcery in the Miao region. Zhao, the half-immortal, and I exposed Ning K's true identity. We were knocked unconscious by him. When I woke up again, I found myself bound by Ning K, and the scene in front of me scared me so much that I dared not speak for a long time. At this moment, I saw Ning K using human rise sorcery to collect human oil from the two people in the corner, regardless of their pleas. Ning K remained unmoved. At that moment, I noticed that he had also brought over the dry corpse. What is he planning to do with it? Ning K held a small bottle of human oil and smiled at both of us. See this? This is the signature rose essential oil of our shop. Both of them are human traffickers. I caught them to use as labor in the oil fields, considering it a service to rid society of harm. Upon hearing this, I advised him to stop while he still could. But Ning K was completely crazy at this point. He brought the human oil to us and said, "No more nonsense, drink the oil. I have already planted rice for each of you once. When your faces look like mine, you can save yourself and save me in passing." Suddenly, there was a bang, and the chubby Zhang Qiming broke in through the door. He was holding a cell phone and shouted loudly, "I am your grandpa, Zhong Kui, the Celestial Master. Who dares to act unruly here?" Ning Ke saw someone trying to cause trouble. Ning Ke quickly rushed up. Just as he was about to collide with Zhang Qiming, a figure suddenly darted out from behind Zhang Qiming. A solid blow struck Ning Ke on the head. It turns out that Miao Qianqian brought Li Shan over. This Li Shan is also an old customer of mine. We are all friends, and when brothers are in trouble, it is only right for them to help out in the arena. When I saw them coming, I quickly called Li Shan over to help with untying them. This time, I was indeed reckless. Fortunately, Miao Qianqian was observant and followed behind us quietly to save us. Otherwise, who knows what trouble we might have gotten into. I then walked up to Ning Ke and said, "Let's leave it at that. Let's not escalate the situation." Ning Ke showed no intention of struggling anymore at this point. He just asked if he could hug little Xian one more time. I nodded. I agreed to his request. Later, Ning Ke tremblingly walked towards little Xian. He gently stroked her hair. Seeing this scene, I suddenly felt something was wrong. He even offered incense and worshipped little Xian at the temple, holding some strange ceremony. This can't be real, can it? The next second, Ning Ke bit his lip. He kissed little Xian on the face. It turns out that little Xian, who was originally wet, unexpectedly became a corpse. He was very excited when he saw his lover come back to life, Ning Ke. But little Xian, who came back to life, was confused. She didn't know where she was and realized that she had died. She was puzzled by how she was alive again. Ning Ke excitedly embraced little Xian and murmured, "My dear, I saved you. You've come back to life. In this world, no one can ever separate us again." Upon hearing this, little Xian appeared very anguished. She trembled and clutched her head, asking in a shaky voice, "No! Please kill me quickly. Who did you learn the evil curse from? That person is so evil. He is deceiving you. I will turn into a zombie." But Ning Ke had worked so hard to resurrect her. How could he possibly kill her? He smiled and said, "I will not kill you. I want to be with you forever." Little Xian looked at Ning Ke's determined eyes. She suddenly revealed a grim look and said, "Then we can only die together." Ning Ke, however, did not pay attention to it but instead cautiously embraced her. Upon hearing this, little Xian's breath completely changed. She fiercely bit into Ning Ke's shoulder. But Ning Ke held her even tighter, unwilling to let go. He wanted to be with little Xian forever. Seeing this scene, Zhao, the half-immortal, couldn't help but sigh. In this world, there is no such thing as coming back from the dead. Zombies are just remnants of a person's soul attached to a body, ultimately turning into bloodthirsty monsters. He turned people into zombies, and now he must reap what he sowed. But Ning Ke did not feel regret. Lying in a pool of blood, he simply said, "Enough, let's die together. If I can bring you back to life and say one last sentence to you, I am willing," he said before taking out the lighter from his pocket. He threw it at the two human traffickers. The two human traffickers instantly burst into flames, and the fire began to spread to the surroundings. We quickly ran out. Ning Ke tightly hugged little Xian and said happily on his face, "My dear, this way we can be together forever." The woman sought momentary pleasure. She appeared on the street in the early hours of the morning, holding her own eyeballs. At this point, it has been nearly half a month since the incident of Ning Ke and the zombie. We have only just managed to detach ourselves from this eerie and terrifying event. I also deeply realize my own shortcomings in terms of abilities. There are too many bizarre and terrifying things in this world. I really don't know when I might meet an untimely death. So I brought Zhao, the half-immortal, to partner up with me and handed him the photo of the tree where Chen Lei was hanged years ago. Zhao, the half-immortal, took the photo, glanced at it, and exclaimed that it was wicked. The pagoda tree nurtures ghosts. The old pagoda tree has complex patterns with all sorts of strange shapes, but those that form human faces are somewhat frightening. I looked at the pagoda tree in the photo, and didn't come up with anything either. At this moment, a woman walked over and greeted us. The woman introduced herself as Su Taojua, wearing black-framed glasses with dark and heavy eye sockets. She looked exhausted and expressed that she hadn't had a good night's sleep for over a month. She came here after hearing that some illnesses that ordinary doctors couldn't cure could be treated here. At that moment, Zhao, the half-immortal, who was standing beside me, said. The woman was hunchbacked as if there was someone lying on her back. Zhao, the half-immortal, instructed me to pay attention. I also found Su Taojua's behavior somewhat strange. Tentatively I asked, "It seems like you are a doctor as well. Normally, you wouldn't believe in such unconventional practices like ours. Why don't you tell us what's going on?" It turns out Su Taojua is an ophthalmologist specializing in retinal corrective surgery. A month ago, she had a medical accident while performing surgery on a client. The man may have had a lateral canthoplasty surgery, and his eyelids are very thin. When the eyeball expander was installed, the eyelids were blown out, and 2 eyeballs popped out. The human eye is connected to the extraocular muscles. Even if it falls out, it can be remedied by quickly putting it back into the eye socket. However, the man struggled too hard, and we couldn't hold him down. We missed the best chance for rescue. Later, his eye, along with the brain, got infected and died. Since that day, she has been having nightmares every day. She dreams of digging out her own eyeballs and tearing them apart. The feeling is really terrifying. After hearing the whole story, I also understand now. That being said, it should be the ghost at her back that was messing around. Su Taojua asked if I noticed anything different about her. I was startled for a moment, then observed her carefully for a while, but didn't notice anything different. At this moment, Su Taojua suddenly widened his eyes, and said in a terrified manner, "I can't open my eyes. The dead man is lying on my back, reaching out to hold my eyelids down, like a speculum preventing me from opening my eyes. I'm close to death." One more thing, I am clearly an ophthalmologist specializing in correcting nearsightedness, yet I am wearing glasses. This is already quite strange. As for the reason, let me tell you now. Hearing her say that, Zhao, the half-immortal, and I both looked over at her. I saw Su Taojua take out a feather. She rubbed it against the tip of her nose a few times. A sneeze came out and her eyeballs popped out, hitting her glasses hard. This scene really scared both of us. Her eyeballs popped out just from sneezing. But Su Taojua seemed to be used to it. She quickly pushed her eyeballs back and adjusted her glasses, saying, "Now you understand, don't you? The ghost holds my eyelids open, so I can't close my eyes. Whenever I sneeze, without the protection of my eyelids, my eyeballs will pop out. I must wear glasses to keep my eyes covered and prevent them from falling out." After listening to Su Taojua's explanation, Zhao, the half-immortal on the side, suggested that this was a case of ghost possession, intending to take your life. Usually, when possessed by a ghost, they cover a person's eyes with their hands, a phenomenon known as veiled by a ghost. But in your case, the ghost is holding your eyelids open, causing you to sneeze and potentially die. This is indeed quite a strange occurrence. Su Taojua asked me while applying eye drops. Now that the cause of the illness is clear, can it be cured? I thought about it, and finally decided to tattoo her with a Yiksha image. The fierce eyes of Yiksha will scare away the ghost behind her, so the ghost won't dare to possess her. And Yiksha is a righteous deity's pattern. It's not my ancestral spirit-infused tattoo. I don't need to capture Yin spirit in the picture either. Simple, no risk, just drive away evil. It's better not to touch the spirit-infused tattoo for now. Su Taojua also has no objection. After negotiating the price, I took Su Taojua into the tattoo studio. Then I started the tattoo. Time passed quickly. The sun sets in the west. Su Taojua's Yiksha pattern has also been completed. After she got dressed, she waved goodbye to me. What I didn't expect was that she still died in the end. But she didn't die at the hands of the ghost from behind. It has nothing to do with the Iksha pattern. She died by her own hands. A week later, I saw Su Taojua on Zhang Qiming's phone. She is holding 2 eyeballs in the video. She has a creepy smile on her face. I got so scared that I threw away my phone. This person is indeed Su Taojua, but this is too scary. According to Zhang Qiming, this video has recently become very popular in their supernatural circle, and is called Urban the Slanted-Eyed Woman. Zhang Qiming thought I was interested in this matter, and thought I might be interested in these things too. He wanted to invite me to go with him another day. But I don't have time to play with him. I pushed him away, and told him to go away. A few days later, Su Taojua's sister, Su Taoyao, found me. Su Taoyao immediately expressed that the recent uproar in the city about the slanted-eyed woman is her sister. I am somewhat puzzled. Did she come over specifically to tell me this? So I asked, what about her sister? I didn't expect Su Taoyao to shake her head and say, her sister passed away. Upon hearing the news of Su Taojua's death, the 3 of us were all taken aback. Later, Su Taoyao began to explain to us in detail. Human eyes are sunk in the eye sockets, allowing us to see about 120 degrees of view. Fish have 180 degrees of vision, while the compound eyes of flies can see almost 350 degrees of view. However, when human eyes are outside the eye sockets, they can actually see almost 360 degrees of view as well. Su Taojua accidentally opened up this perspective and became addicted to it. She believes that it is a full view that can transform ordinary people into deities. She calls it the God's eye view. And she never thought about putting her eyes back from beginning to end. The day she asked me to help her tattoo to exorcise evil spirits was just to not be controlled by those evil spirits and enjoy the God's eye view freely. Haunted tattoo of love's resentment requires killing the beloved person and taking their soul as a vessel to tattoo this image. Zhao, the half-immortal, introduced a guest to me today. His name is Sui Yu, a famous internet streamer who specializes in portraying Lady Yu online. As soon as we met Sui Yu, he immediately wanted to perform a segment of Farewell My Concubine, which is their ancestral craft. When I was a child, my grandfather loved watching operas. He often said that opera is like life, and life is like a drama. Sometimes he even shed tears while watching. It's indeed rare to have the opportunity to see such magnificence up close today. Sui Yu performed a segment for us on the spot. His hand gestures were strong and powerful, and he sang while shouting in a vivid and lifelike manner. Zhao, the half-immortal, and I watched from the side and clapped enthusiastically. The Shangxi opera style is truly extraordinary, lingering in our minds for 3 days without end. After the play, Zhao, the half-immortal, began to discuss the purpose of this visit. He said that there were some issues with the feng shui of your house. Sui Yu took off the wig and expressed that it's not the house that's wrong now, it's me who is wrong. Have you ever tried falling asleep and suddenly feeling lighter while lying in bed, as if your soul slowly leaves your body and wanders around? Even when daydreaming during the day, I am like this. I have thought about it. This may be the phenomenon of the soul leaving the body, which many people have experienced, especially children. Once they get scared, they may feel confused and disoriented all the time. In such cases, it is necessary to seek a shaman to call back the soul. This situation may be caused by bad feng shui or negative energy intrusion, but it's not a big problem. Therefore, I decided to tattoo an exquisite pagoda carried by the pagoda-bearing heavenly king to suppress his soul. I took out my tools and was ready to help him with the tattoo, so I asked him to take off his shirt. But he appeared very nervous upon hearing me ask him to take off his shirt. Seeing his strong reaction, I was also somewhat puzzled. How can he get a tattoo without taking off his shirt? Moreover, why would a few grown men feel shy about it? That's how Sui Yu hesitantly took off his shirt. He revealed the face tattoo on his chest. The moment I saw the tattoo, I couldn't help but pause for a moment. With a whoosh sound, I pressed the tattoo needle against his throat and asked, "How did my Chung family ancestral haunted tattoo of love's resentment end up on you?" I didn't expect Suiyu to turn around and ask me, "Mr. Chung, is there an ancestor named Chung Sun in your family?" Chung Sun is actually my grandfather. He is the one who created this haunted tattoo of love's resentment. You better tell me where you got this tattoo from. Upon hearing this, Suiyu sighed. I didn't expect to encounter a descendant of the Chung family here. It seems like it's all fate. The connection between our two families goes back to the previous century. In the 18th year of the Republic of China, during the drought in Shaanxi, his grandfather Su Qingyuan was a famous figure in the Republic of China, a respected nobleman, but also a renowned actor in a turbulent era. Even landlords without food had to flee the famine. Without food, his grandfather tried to preserve the Su family's descendants. His grandfather then cut flesh from his own body. Did he feed his own flesh to his grandmother? When he was in dire straits, his grandfather met a noble person. He also knew he was close to death. His wife and their unborn child would not survive either. But when he saw that person, he felt a glimmer of hope. So he knelt down and begged that person to save his wife. And that person was my grandfather, Chung Sun. My grandfather saw that Su Qingyuan was willing to cut his flesh to feed his wife and child, and felt that he was also a compassionate person. So he agreed to help. However, he could only send him away, and could not support his wife and child for a lifetime. Su Qingyuan is a smart person. He knows that his skills are invaluable, and that he can start anew wherever he goes. However, without his wife and child, even if he escapes poverty, he cannot make a living. So, he made a decision before he died. He asked his wife to flay his skin. Legend has it that by flaying the skin of a top actress, making it into a shadow puppet, the puppet will come to life and perform just like a real person, even singing on its own. It became a priceless treasure that everyone sought after. He had also long heard of Chung Sun, who had the skill to paint landscapes and tattoo ghosts and gods. So he asked Chung Sun, considering they both were skilled craftsmen working in similar fields, to tattoo a ghost tattoo for his wife, Haunted Tattoo. The reward for this tattoo would be repaid by performing opera. He asked Chung Sun to tattoo his soul on his wife, turning it into a tattoo to protect her, enabling her to perform opera and survive, ensuring the perpetuation of the Su family lineage. Chung Sun is not ignoring the haunted tattoo. It's just that there are rules in our profession. It is taboo to tattoo souls, as it goes against the natural order. Besides, Chung Sun did not appreciate opera at the time. Even though he was a renowned actor in the province, it didn't matter. So Chung Sun declined this business proposition. He then turned around and resumed painting. But Su Qingyuan was unwilling to give up. He drew his sword and said, "I have a performance that can only be sung once in a lifetime. It is something that others will never hear. Even those who do not appreciate performances will be captivated. It is definitely worth having you, sir, tattoo it for my wife." After saying this, he began to play dual roles by himself, holding a sword and singing, "Farewell, my concubine." The actor's final performance, enduring through the ages. This song, "Farewell, my concubine," vividly portrays the desolate end of the tyrant. When singing the part, the Hegemon King suicide at Wu River, Su Qingyuan suddenly raised the sword in his hand and slashed his throat, self-kissing. Blood dripped from his neck as he continued to sing with a mournful intensity. After watching this scene, Chung Sun was deeply touched and tattooed this haunted tattoo. Su Qingyuan's wife also relied on this tattoo and later became a famous actress. This spirit-infused tattoo has been passed down and became a stable source of income for their Su family. But I know that the malicious aspect of this haunted tattoo is that one must kill their beloved in order to tattoo this image. Therefore, in each generation of the Su family, they inevitably kill their other half. Being exposed on the spot, Su Yi remained calm and said, "In our family, generation after generation, we seek out terminally ill individuals of the opposite sex, trying to please them until they fall in love with us. Then, We wait for the moment of their imminent death to claim their soul. Human skin doll. Soul extraction spell. Covering one's ears while stealing a bell, changing the heavens and earth. I have learned that the Su family for generations has been seeking individuals of the opposite sex suffering from terminal illnesses, gaining their favor, and killing them to extract their souls at the moment of their imminent death. Zhao, the half-immortal, was so angry that he trembled all over and cursed. You are simply scum. Even with a terminal illness, nobody would behave as despicably as you do. I held the tattoo needle against his neck and coldly said, Back then, when the Su family gave you the spirit-infused tattoo, it was meant for honorable purposes. But now, seeing it being used for evil deeds, I have no objection to taking it back. Suiyu's eyes filled with tears as he chuckled and said, Mr. Chung, there is something else I want to tell you. The tattoo inscribed on my body is for my girlfriend, Little Snow. Little Snow has leukemia. I originally intended to deceive her into falling in love with me, but in the end, I found myself falling into it. That period of time was the happiest time in my life. Later, I told her everything truthfully. Kind Little Snow, knowing that her life was short, actually agreed to my request and was willing to become my tattoo. So I secretly let her swallow sleeping pills to kill her and take her soul. Now she is here with me, accompanying me at all times. Since that's the case, I won't take the haunted tattoo that's on you. Let Little Snow's Yin spirit continue to protect you. However, the original manuscript of your haunted tattoo must be given to me. This thing cannot be passed on to your next generation. Later, Suiyu took out the wrinkled piece of human skin and handed it to me. He said that our lineage would end with me, which is fine. The art of traditional Chinese opera has declined in this era, and there is no need to rely on this craft for a living. I nodded. I then placed the human skin into the toolbox. At this moment, Suiyu asked me impatiently, Can we proceed with tattooing the pagoda-bearing Heavenly King exquisite pagoda for the dissociation syndrome we mentioned earlier? I replied, Let's take one step at a time. This exquisite pagoda is a righteous pattern. I asked him to have a seat first. I picked up the ink tube and was about to tattoo him, but I had just started preparing. I heard a few cries for help. Help! He is not Suiyu, I am. He tattooed me on his stomach. It's actually that face mask begging for help. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but get goosebumps all over. Suiyu saw that I hadn't stitched for a long time and asked me what was wrong, but I was just in a daze. The face mask unexpectedly returned to its original state. So I quickly said, It's nothing, and started tattooing. This reminds me that my grandfather seemed to have mentioned some past events before. He said he was fascinated by watching dramas because life is like a drama, with actors covering their ears and stealing the bell, changing the heavens and the earth someday. There is a soul extraction spell in this world, where one first peels off their own skin to make a doll, then asks an expert to help transfer their soul into another person's body, and eventually squeezes the other person's soul into the doll, thus taking over the other person's body. This sinister technique will harm oneself more than others. The person who survives using the soul extraction spell to take over another body will have a lifespan of only 7 to 8 years at most, as the mismatch of souls is inevitable. Human skin doll soul extraction spell. Could it be that Su Qingyuan peeled off his own skin, claiming to make shadow puppets for his wife to sell for money, but actually used his own skin as a doll, deceiving his grandfather, and embedding his soul into his wife's body? Isn't this a type of soul extraction spell? What a cunning deception. No wonder the grandfather later laughed madly watching the puppet show. He must have realized that the pregnant woman he took out was clearly Su Qingyuan himself. Thinking about this, I forcefully calmed myself down and tried to fish for some information. I cleared my throat and asked, Could you tell me what happened to Su Qingyuan's wife later on? Suiyu turned his head with a sly smile and said, Later on, Su Qingyuan's wife, Bai Shuixue, went back to her parental home. She displayed outstanding singing skills and became the backbone of the opera troupe. Her wrist strength was also extraordinary. She quickly climbed to the top ranks of the family and helped expand its influence. Later, Bai Shueisha gave birth to a child and, relying on her amazing wrist strength, completely took control. The Bai family engaged in internal strife in secret, using ruthless methods to eliminate opponents. In the end, the family patriarch raised the banner, and the Bai family changed its surname to Su. The grand foundation of the Bai family was ultimately destroyed by Bai Shueisha, a woman from the Bai family. From that day on, there was no more Bai family, only Bai Shueisha. After returning home, she passed away suddenly after 7 years, dying young. After hearing the whole story, I fell silent. I thought it was indeed the soul extraction spell that resulted in her soul and body not being in harmony, only living for 7 years. However, in just a short 7 years, she actually rejuvenated the entire Su family lineage. It's truly a terrifying method. So the person in front of me is not really Suiyu at all. Thinking this, I tentatively asked, "May I ask for your surname?" He glanced at me, stood up, and put on his clothes, replying, "My surname is Bai Little Snow. Please advise." Upon hearing this name, I suddenly realized everything. So turning my head, I said, "You are the branch of the Bai family that escaped, Suiyu. You intended to deceive and kill, but you ended up outwitting him and took his soul. By having me tattoo an exquisite pagoda, you aimed to suppress the soul of Suiyu." "That's correct. If that's the case, please give me the paper doll containing Suiyu's soul. Let's put an end to this once and for all. Let's end the grudges between our families here." Bai Little Snow chuckled twice and agreed. Later, I got the paper doll made of human skin from Suiyu. I am prepared to burn it to assist his passage to the afterlife. I didn't expect that at this moment. Suiyu unexpectedly appeared in the mirror. He bowed repeatedly to me and Zhao, the half-immortal, thanking both of us. "This matter is my own decision. Please don't make things difficult for Little Snow. My grandfather actually left behind some powerful methods to prevent retaliation from the Bai family, but I am useless. If Little Snow is harmed, the Bai family line will truly be severed by us." This statement was also heard and taken to heart by Little Snow outside the house. At this moment, her mood is very complex. And then, Suiyu continued, "Little Snow, if you continue borrowing my body in the future, you can only live for 6 or 7 more years. Is there really no other way?" "No." Listening to me, there's no self-blaming from Suiyu, saying I have harmed him. This was a tragedy from the beginning. The hatred passed down for 100 years can end with me, which is good. At least she can live worry-free for another 6 or 7 years. "Brother Chung, burn me. I want to reincarnate." I didn't say much this time. I just put his paper puppet into the brazier. Have a safe journey. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. This century-old feud has finally come to an end. This is a strange hair salon. Haircuts cost only 6 yuan, but wigs are priced at 50,000 yuan each. Shortly after the Suiyu incident, Miao Qianqian introduced me to a business deal, saying that her dad's friend, Sir Zheng, from the underworld, mentioned that his son, Zhang Tianing, has recently encountered some bad luck. Seeing a hair salon these days where you can get a haircut for just 6 yuan, even Zhao, the half-immortal, couldn't help but exclaim that it's a conscience in the industry. When the owner of the hair salon saw a few of us standing at the door, he came out and asked if we wanted haircuts. Miao Qianqian said, "We are here to find someone. We heard that you are the landlord. The person we are looking for is on the 2nd floor. Upon hearing this, the boss smiled and said, "You are looking for Little Ning. Just go up from here." After thanking the boss, we walked towards the 2nd floor. Miao Qianqian was also not polite. She opened the door with a bang and shouted, "Zhang Tianing, I heard you don't even spare cats." Frightened by Miao Qianqian, Zhang Tianing was suddenly flustered, even dropping one of his slippers from his feet. He hurried to explain that he didn't do it and asked Miao Qianqian not to speak recklessly. Miao Qianqian is also quite outgoing. She picked up the kitten and jokingly said, "Your dad said you've had some bad luck recently. That's why you look so haggard. This flower cat might even turn into a human and bother you. It's truly a troublesome little yogwai spirit." Unexpectedly, when Zhang Tianning heard this, he excitedly snatched the kitten and cradled it in his arms, saying, "Flower and I truly love each other. Even if he is a yogwai, he is a good yogwai. Every time it is late at night, he appears in front of me and talks to me. We only developed a relationship after deep understanding. It's not as dirty as you said." I was speechless to see his reaction, but Miao Qianqian had already gotten used to it. She said, "You have seen it too. This kid has already been blinded by love. Sir Zhang asked us to come and see what's going on." Zhao, the half-immortal, looked at this kitten and also felt somewhat strange. This kitten is not an old cat, and it doesn't have any evil aura. It shouldn't transform into a demon, right? Later, I looked around the house, searching left and right. I found what seems to be a hidden attic behind the cabinet. The moment I pulled open the hidden attic, a woman covered in black hair all over her body rushed out. She howled and pounced towards me. Fortunately, Miao Qianqian was quick-witted and used a stun gun to shock her unconscious. With a loud thud, as the long-haired woman collapsed to the ground, Zhang Tianning exclaimed in shock, "Flower, how can there be two of them? I see, he's really bewitched." Immediately explain that this monster impersonated your cat, hid in the dark attic of the room, and then came out pretending to be a cat to absorb your yang qi. I didn't expect Zhang Tianning to rush over and throw himself on the long-haired woman, saying, "Even if she is a master yogwai, don't kill her. I like her. Don't separate us. Flower is actually very beautiful and kind. I love her." Seeing this scene, even Miao Qianqian couldn't help but sigh. He is truly a person filled with deep affection. At this moment, Zhao, the half-immortal, seemed to have discovered something terrifying in the dark attic. He kept retreating in fear, exclaiming how malicious it was. Truly malicious. This is a strange incense hall. Above it, there is an embalmed human head on display. The sunken and darkened eye sockets of the embalmed head looked as if they had been exposed to the sun for an unknown duration. However, the hair on the head was very dense. Shiny and smooth, this is the ghost hair spell, also a type of Gu technique from the Miao region. Using the yin energy from ghosts and corpses to cultivate hair. That hair can move like a living creature and can help bald people grow hair, but this method is extremely malicious. When it comes to hair, Zhang Tianning immediately thinks of Zhao Rong's hair salon downstairs. Haircuts are very cheap there, but the wigs cost 50,000 yuan each. Could they be produced there? I also think it's possible. This is the long-haired woman who was just shocked by Miao Qianqian. Flower woke up. Miao Qianqian immediately prepared to shock her again. She was so scared that she hurriedly kowtowed and pleaded for mercy, claiming she meant no harm. "Please spare me. The real culprit is the old man downstairs. He is also my father. It's because of him that I turned out this way." I furrowed my brows. "Your father? The hairstylist downstairs, Zhao Rong?" "Yes. He is just a freak." The barbershop owner, with a kind face on the surface. He used witchcraft behind the scenes to murder his wife in order to make money, and placed her head on the incense altar. He also turned his daughter into a monster. He instructed her to absorb the tenant's yang qi. At this moment, tears welled up in Flower's eyes as she began to speak about her own origins. This story starts from many years ago with my mother, Li Shan. She was also the first victim. My mother suffered from hypertrichosis, also known as werewolf syndrome. Many people looked down on her because of this condition, so she had no choice but to marry Zhao Rong, a lazy and greedy man. Zhao Rong thought he had married a monster and would either hit or scold her. Later, he learned some dark magic, the ghost hair spell, from an unknown source. This spell required finding a person with excessive body hair to cast a curse, and then collecting hair from corpses in the graveyard that hadn't decomposed yet. Because after a person dies, the hair and nails of the body continue to grow, making them the best materials for casting curses. Zhao Rong mashed the stolen hair from the corpse into a sauce. Rub it on the fur of the kittens, and the fur will quickly grow long and smooth like human hair. Then, cut it off to make wigs and sell them for big money. My mother became the first experimental subject in this way. The experiment was successful, and my mother's body started to grow hair. However, without a man nourishing the woman goo of the ghost hair spell, the nutrients in her body would quickly be lost, causing her hair to wither. The vicious Zhao Rong naturally did not want to touch my mother again. So, he brought some beggars and wanderers to come over. Later my mother was tortured beyond recognition, her hair turned white, and she lost all her value. Her belly was also getting bigger day by day. Zhao Rong thought that the baby born would also be worthless, so he let my mother give birth to me and continued to abuse me. The bastard is still using my mother's body to cultivate corpse hair in order to make money. He grinds it into powder and smears it on me. He also makes me hide in the dark closet to seduce the men staying here. We have listened to Flower's background. Miao Qianqian is so angry that her teeth itch. She couldn't help but curse. This old bastard. He looks friendly and amiable. I didn't expect that he turned out to be a complete demon. Zhang Tianing put his coat on Flower. He comforted Flower, saying, "Flower, come with me. I will take care of you." But Flower pushed him away, indicating it was futile. "You guys go," she said. "He uses the hair from his heart chakra to make voodoo dolls, practicing Southeast Asian black magic. My fate is in his hands. I can't escape." The scene even moved Xiao, the half-immortal. Turning to me, he said, "I know the rules of your master of the occult. Flower's payment I have covered. Hurry and get the tattoo." I asked for Flower's birth details, and after some consideration said, "Your destiny element is earth. Tattooing the Kirin, the sacred beast of fire, which represents the element of fire, can dispel evil spirits and bring divine protection. The dark curse should be resolved. Shave off the hair on your back, and I will do the tattoo for you." With the help of Miao Qianqian and others, Flower's back hair was quickly shaved off. I also started the tattooing process. 3 hours later, the auspicious Kylan pattern was completed. I asked Flower how she feels now. Flower expressed feeling like a string had been broken. When I heard this, I breathed a sigh of relief. That means the dark curse is gone, and he can no longer control your destiny. When he heard that Flower was fine, Zhang Tianing excitedly embraced her. At that moment, a hurried footstep was heard downstairs, accompanied by furious roars. Who dares to sabotage my plans? Anyone who blocks my path to wealth will die. It seems that dark curse has been discovered after blocking his plans." Upon seeing this, I immediately ordered Zhao, the half-immortal, and Zhang Tianing to block the door. I asked Qianqian to take Flower and jump out of the window first to escape. Miao Qianqian also has a decisive personality. She casually threw the stun gun to me. I caught the stun gun steadily. I took a glance at the large door about to be smashed behind me. I thought she really helped a lot this time. A few strands of hair suddenly seeped in through the door crack, looking really creepy. This is the hair ghost. I quickly took a few steps back. Then I suddenly took a big step forward. I stabbed the stun gun on Zhao Rong's neck. The electric current sizzled. Zhao Rong screamed a few times, and then fell down. Seeing him fall down, Zhao, the half-immortal, and Zhang Tianing breathed a sigh of relief. I didn't expect that Zhao Rong actually stood up the next second and said fiercely, "What a guy, daring to ruin my plans! Go to hell." With that, he flipped his palm. The hair ghost transformed from hair attacked us. It tightly bound us, making it impossible for us to move. Zhao Rong is simply inhuman. Even after his wife died, he still turned her into such a sinister hair weapon. Zhao Rong ignored my words. He scanned the room and found Flower had run away. He turned around coldly and asked, "Where is my daughter? I raised her so painstakingly for so many years, and yet you let her go. Since you are causing trouble for me, don't blame me for being impolite." Just as Zhao Rong was about to manipulate Hair Ghost to silence us, the skull enshrined above the incense altar suddenly flew up with a swish and landed behind Zhao Rong. The next moment, the dense mass of hair turned into spikes and pierced Zhao Rong directly. The Hair Ghost lost control of Zhao Rong, and the entanglement of our hair also loosened. We looked at Zhao Rong lying on the ground. I know he was counterattacked, and Li Shan killed him. Perhaps it is because Flower ran away. Zhao Rong cannot threaten his own life either. Li Shan killed him without any scruples. However, despite that, it is not advisable to stay here for long. Let Sir John handle the rest. Things have come to this point. It can also be considered as having a satisfactory ending. Later, I heard from Miao Qianqian that the matter was settled by Zhang Tianning's father, Sir Zhang, and Zhao Rong was arrested by the police as a murderer. Zhang Tianning also took Flower away, and the two of them lived together from then on. However, Miao Qianqian's playful nature is quite strong, as she actually brought back the wig made with the ghost hair spell. Although this wig costs 50,000 yuan each and looks extremely lifelike, just the thought of how it is made makes me feel nauseous. I asked her to quickly put it away. I didn't expect that at this moment. A voice suddenly came from outside the door saying, "I'll take this wig. Here is a 20,000 yuan deposit. I will transfer the remaining 30,000 yuan to you later." Both Miao Qianqian and I were shocked and speechless. We looked up, and it turned out to be Little Snow Bai. How did she get here? Little Snow played with the newly bought wig in front of the mirror and said, "Last time I saw you, you had a deadpan expression. You are a descendant of Master Cheng. I cannot stand by and watch you get into trouble. Tell me what is going on with you." Talking about this matter, I can't help but feel nervous too. So I made up an excuse and sent Miao Qianqian away. Then I handed the photo of Chen Lei hanging on that tree to Little Snow and said, "It's all about the hanging pact from childhood. Those few people involved all hanged themselves. But in the past half-month, I didn't pay attention to it, and nothing happened." Little Snow took the photo, looking a bit solemn, and said, "You think nothing has happened, but you're actually close to death. Someone has cast a spell on you. Those who died before were just a prelude. You may be the final piece. You still know nothing. It seems your grandpa didn't teach you much. He probably didn't want you to get involved in this. I didn't expect you to come in on your own. Someone is out to harm you, and that person is hiding very well. Maybe they have secretly switched souls like me." With that, she stood up and put away the photo. With a bang, he slapped a walnut on the table. He leisurely turned around and left. I picked up the walnut and observed it carefully, finding that it was very exquisite. There was also a bell and a talisman hanging underneath it. I gently shook it, and the bell made a crisp ringing sound. The Buddha said, 8,000 people, 1,000 faces. Everyone has a unique appearance. But this woman is the face of all sentient beings. Her face embodies all the emotions and expressions of living beings. Today another business came in. The customer's name is Imosiasi, a doctor who has a patient under her care. From her descriptions, the patient's symptoms seem very strange. I'm afraid one person alone can't handle it, so I called in Zhao, the half-immortal, and Little Snow. According to Imosiasi, this patient is very peculiar. Once she falls asleep, she dreams that she has turned into someone else, and lives through months or even years of another person's life in her dreams. According to her, she has experienced hundreds of years in her dreams. When I heard this, doesn't it sound like Inception? Before entering, Imosiasi reminded us, "You should be mentally prepared for what you are about to see next." Then she slowly opened the door. She said to the people inside, "Qin Yu, someone has come to see you." When we saw Qin Yu's expression, All three of us involuntarily took a few steps back. It's not that Chinyu's face is particularly scary, but rather strange in a way that gives people an uneasy feeling. She has the sharp features and thick lips of a man, as well as the charming phoenix eyes of a woman. Frowning as if angry, her phoenix eyes crescent-shaped as if smiling. Her left and right eyes looking in different directions, showing various expressions of sadness and joy in a very discordant manner. It's as if numerous faces have been kneaded together, which is quite scary to look at. I'll ask Mo to wait for a moment. We have something to discuss, and we'll go out for a bit. We'll come to her office later to find her. Later we found a secluded corner and started discussing. Zhao, the half-immortal, said that just by looking at appearances, he could recognize 1,000 different fates like Chinyu's, each unique. However, the fear is that no matter which fate it is, it may not be her own. By Little Snow also said that this woman has the compassionate appearance of a bodhisattva, like Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva with 1,000 hands, 1,000 eyes, and 1,000 faces. Neither distinctly male nor female, expressing both joy and sorrow, her face embodies the myriad expressions of sentient beings. One flower, one world. To be able to dream of the suffering of sentient beings within dreams, could it be that this Chinyu is a reincarnation descending to Earth, a compassionate living Buddha saving the world? No, she is practicing an ancient evil technique from ancient Indian Brahmanism called Shivaic sorcery. Shivaic sorcery is used to awaken wisdom and intelligence, pretending to be a divine reincarnation. Shiva, the god of destruction, is the origin of Shivaic sorcery, which involves a woman engaging in relationships with multiple men to absorb a portion of their souls and memories through physical contact. With countless memories, one gains the wisdom of hundreds of years and embodies the essence of all living beings. Upon hearing this, both Xiao, the half-immortal, and I couldn't help but take a sharp breath. This Shivaic sorcery is indeed malicious. By Little Snow mentioned that this type of soul sorcery, found in Tibetan Vajrayana Buddhism, also exists. It's known as the reincarnation of living Buddhas, where the soul of the previous Lama is consumed by the next generation after the former's death. This method is gentler, as it only retains memories from one person and does not cause confusion. Upon hearing this, I also thought of Chen Yu, whose father, Chen Beihai, is a very famous entrepreneur in the city. I heard that Chen Beihai was in poverty before the age of 30, but suddenly had a breakthrough after turning 30 and soared to success. In just 10 years, he accumulated a lifetime of wealth that cannot be spent. There is clearly something suspicious about this. Zhao, the half-immortal, thinks that it might be a revenge from a competitor who cast an evil curse on his daughter. By Little Snow, on the other hand, suggests that there may be another possibility, but it could just be me overthinking. But guessing blindly here won't help. Let's go back and find that doctor. She probably has many things that she's hiding from us. Later I went to Mo's office and asked straightforwardly, Dr. Mo, if I'm not mistaken, Miss Chinyu has a rather chaotic lifestyle and has been in contact with many people, right? The people in her dreams are all those who have had relationships with her. Their memories have entered Miss Chinyu's mind. Listening to me say this, Mo's suddenly showed a faint smile. You can even see this. We really didn't choose the wrong person. That's right. Miss Chinyu has severe nymphomania, and those who have relationships with her all have varying degrees of amnesia. Do you have any treatment methods for Mr. Chung then? Yes, but the materials are a bit difficult to obtain. I need a clean piece of human skin from the back. Mo's stood up in surprise upon hearing that the desired item was human skin, then confirmed again, Human skin? And received a definite reply. Mo's pondered for a moment with his chin in hand, then said, Mr. Chen Beihai has a large medical business. There should be no problem with this. I will talk to him and have it delivered to you as soon as possible. It's worth mentioning that Chen Beihai is indeed efficient. The next day, he managed to get the human skin for my back that I needed and had it delivered to me. I spread out the skin he set on the table. This time, the tattoo I'm getting is a Baku, the dream-eating beast, a mythical auspicious creature known as a demon-quelling eater of nightmares that devours evil dreams. Zhao, the half-immortal, asked me a puzzling question. Why not just tattoo it directly on Xinyu as usual? I explained while tattooing that this is the reverse tattooing technique. Baku originally does not require a Yin spirit as it is a righteous pattern, but after devouring a Yin spirit nightmare, it transforms into a spirit-infused tattoo. Therefore, the Baku image infused with a Yin spirit should not be kept on the body, but must be removed. Please close the door, and do not let anyone disturb me. After finishing, we need to quickly head to the hospital. Subsequently, carrying the tattooed Baku image, I arrived at the hospital room. I asked Xinyu to lie down and expose his bare back. Xinyu quickly took off his shirt, turned to me with a charming smile, and said, "Just the back? If needed, I can take it all off." Surprised by his words, I quickly reassured him that only the back is necessary. I couldn't help but inwardly sigh at the terrifying nature of sex addiction. Later, I covered Baku's picture on Xinyu's back, and a large, fiery red bird flew out. With a big mouth, it stripped all the Yin spirit from Xinyu's body and swallowed it into its belly. Xinyu also let out a painful wail. Seeing her in such pain, I knew that the tattoo was taking effect. The memories and soul fragments of others within her are being eaten by the Baku bird, and at the same time, her face is slowly returning to normal. Wait for all the Yin spirit on Xinyu's body to dissipate. Baku's illustration also turned into a spirit-infused tattoo. I carefully collected it. Suddenly, the television broadcasted breaking news. Renowned entrepreneur Chen Beihai announced his retirement during a speech. During the live broadcast, Chen Beihai faced the media and said, "I know that there is a master in the hospital right now who has saved my daughter and resolved the long-standing knot in my heart. I have done many good deeds over the years, but I have never been able to make up for the guilt I feel towards my daughter in my heart. When I was young, I was impoverished. Later on, I obtained a not-so-good method from an Indian monk to enhance my eloquence and emotional intelligence. My business prospered, but it harmed my daughter." When these words were uttered, the reporters in the audience instantly exploded with questions. They asked him why, as someone known for his eloquence, he was stuttering at this moment. Is there a earth-shattering secret? Chen Beihai did not explain much, only saying that his daughter has been saved. He announced that from today onwards, he will retire from the business world and donate 90% of his assets to a charity fund to be managed. After reading the entire report, I turned to look at Xinyu. At this point, Xinyu had returned to her original state, but still looked uneasy. She was very grateful for my help in solving the problem, but did not want to talk about other matters. She mentioned that the medical expenses would be transferred to my account later. Since she didn't want to say more, I didn't feel it was appropriate to ask further questions. After exchanging a few brief pleasantries, I left. Before the age of 30, the man was impoverished and destitute, but after turning 30, he suddenly became enlightened and transformed into a business genius. In just 10 years, he earned a wealth that is difficult for most people to reach. All of this is because he used Shivaic sorcery from India on his daughter. When Baku possessed him, Chen Beihai immediately announced his retirement and said a bunch of inexplicable things. Now, Mocse finally sees through Xinyu's tricks. It turns out it was all orchestrated by his own father. He turned his own daughter into a promiscuous woman with 1,000 writers to absorb others' memories and wisdom in order to turn himself into a business prodigy. I even comforted her when Xinyu's nymphomania flared up. It seems that my wisdom has also been stolen by that grandson of Chen Beihai. I was also startled to hear that Mocse had a relationship with Xinyu. However, Mocse didn't seem to mind much, saying that helping patients solve their worries and difficulties is our duty as doctors, and there's no need to hide anything. In any case, now that the situation is resolved, it's good for everyone. I'm tired. I'll go back to the office to rest first. With that, she waved to me and walked away. I watched her leaving figure with some speechlessness, thinking that there are really all kinds of strange people in this world. After a while, It suddenly occurred to me that I hadn't given her my bank account information yet, so I hurriedly caught up with her. I found that the door to her office was not closed, and I heard a strange sound. Following the sound, I saw Emosiosi crouching in the corner, as if gnawing on something. I approached for a closer look. Emosiosi was holding a finger bone in his hand. She was smiling with dull eyes. Saliva kept flowing out continuously. It was truly terrifying to watch. Afterward, I found Emosiosi nibbling on a finger bone in the office. Speak out about it. Miao Qianqian only feels nauseous, and Zhao, the half-immortal, also stated that Qin Beihai cursed his own daughter to become like this, making him a scum. I can't believe there are such perverts in the hospital. By Little Snow paused and asked if we remember what she said about the living Buddha reincarnation soul swallowing the first time we met Qin. But is there any connection between the two? By Little Snow said, that thing is also called finger bone relic in the mouth of Buddhism. Eating finger bones is one of the rituals. It is very likely that she absorbed someone's memories and soul into her own body. Upon hearing this, I sighed deeply. Witnessing both the ancient Indian and Tibetan evil curse in a single day is quite enough. I really don't know what secrets Emosiosi is hiding again. Who has she taken into her stomach? I didn't expect that I hadn't finished asking this question yet. Miao Qianqian stood up with a whoosh sound. She confidently stated, I know that the soul eaten by Emosiosi is here. Upon hearing her say that, we all couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Zhao, the half-immortal, reminded her not to speak recklessly, but Miao Qianqian argued with reason, saying, Didn't brother you say that the Dr. Emosiosi had a relationship with Qin? In that case, a part of her memory and soul would naturally have been absorbed into Qinyu's body. If there is another person's soul in Emosiosi's body, then this soul will be eaten by the Baku picture and transferred here. At the sound of these words, I stood up abruptly. I suddenly realized in an instant. I picked up the Baku picture and prepared to take a look. A needle pricked down. The Baku picture indeed had a reaction. A man's in spirit. It slowly appeared in front of us. I quickly asked him who he was. He said his name was Zhou Xian, and he is Emosiosi's boyfriend. Upon hearing his identity, I couldn't help but be stunned. How did you die? Why does she still choose to imprison your soul within her body? Ironically, I was killed by Emosiosi herself. Emosiosi has a terrifying possessiveness. She suspected me of cheating, so she actually drove a car to hit me, then used her connections to send me to her operating table. She killed me on the operating table, and then ate me. She said that this way she could be with me forever. After hearing the whole story, I was shocked too. Emosiosi turned out to be so ruthless. I asked Zhou Xian if we should help report to the police, but Zhou Xian said it was unnecessary. After she consumed my soul, she also gained access to my memories and realized I had not cheated. Overwhelmed with guilt, she suffered from nightmares every night and felt that living was worse than death. I believe my revenge has been served. You should go back first. Your Yin spirit cannot linger outside for too long. As for how to handle your Yin spirit, I will figure it out later. Zhou Xian nodded, thanked me, and then slowly returned to the picture. After some time, Miao Qianqian heard the news that Emosiosi had lost all memories about Zhou Xian. At this, I couldn't help but sigh. It's rare to have it all, neither disappointing the Buddha nor you. Peace under heaven, fortune at first sight. Hearst customer service. Ghost sedan chair. Early in the morning, Li Shan came over with his girlfriend, Little Chui. I could see that Little Chui's forehead was dark, which seemed strange and ominous. I quickly invited them in. According to what Li Shan said, they have a roommate named Little Rome. There were usually no conflicts, but a few days ago, when they came back from work, they heard that she died in bed and had been taken away by an ambulance. Strange things happened in the following days. Just as I was about to ask what strange things had happened, Little Chui, who was sitting on the chair, suddenly revealed a strange smile. She then took off her coat and said, "Come on! Have fun!" Li Shan helped Little Chui cover his coat while saying to me, "You see, ever since Little Rong passed away, Little Chui occasionally acts like this, suddenly bumping into things as if possessed by Little Rong. Little Rong used to be in the flesh trade business. I suspect that Little Chui has been possessed by this lascivious ghost." I slapped Little Chui's face abruptly. Little Chui finally quieted down for a while. I didn't expect that when she turned her head again, she had a look of enjoyment on her face and asked me if I liked SM. She suddenly grabbed my hand and asked me to do it again. I didn't know what to do in this situation. I am just a tattoo artist. You all treat me like a yin-yang master. Isn't this making things difficult for me? At this moment, I suddenly remembered the bell by Little Snow gave me. Immediately, I turned my head, opened the box, and took out the bell. I pressed the bell onto Little Chui's head with one hand. The Yin spirit attached to Little Chui's body let out a painful howl the next second. With a swish, the Yin spirit flew out of her body. Looks like the things left behind by Little Snow are really extraordinary. Just don't know what that red gloomy wind was just now. For the lifelong happiness of my brother, Zhao, the half-immortal, and I came to the neighborhood where Li Shan and Little Rong lived together to see if we can find any information. As soon as we arrived at the entrance of the neighborhood, we saw the security guard not far away burning ghost money while murmuring, "Great compassionate Guanyin Bodhisattva, it was my greed for the hearse passing through. The living must avoid it. You are the woman that Yama King enjoys. It's my fault. I couldn't resist. Please don't come looking for me. I will burn more incense and ghost money for you." I immediately sensed that something was amiss. The security guard should know something. Zhao, the half-immortal, and I exchanged a glance. I went up and handed him a cigarette, asking, "Brother, I have a question for you. A girl named Little Rong died in this neighborhood. Do you know what happened? My buddy Li Shan lived in the same house as Little Rong. They are in a bit of trouble now." The guard at the door was immediately excited when he heard this. He smacked the cigarette I handed him and said in a frightened tone, "They are in trouble. It must be the soul collector taking lives." Go, don't ask me. I don't know anything." The door of the guard booth slammed shut with a bang, leaving me stunned. However, Zhao, the half-immortal, saw some clues and indicated that this person clearly had done something wrong and had a guilty conscience. Your attempt to get close to him is useless. Zhao, the half-immortal, cleared his throat and intentionally or unintentionally shouted towards the house, "I have foreseen a calamity in this place. There will be great misfortune due to heavenly wrath and human grievances." But some people refuse to accept the good intentions of the poor Taoist. So be it. Waiting for the evil spirits to come seeking, they will surely meet their fate in the underworld. Have to say, Zhao, the half-immortal's skills are quite useful indeed. I just finished saying this sentence. Then the guard opened the door. Then he timidly asked, "May I ask who you are, sir?" Zhao, the half-immortal, stepped forward suddenly, wearing a serious expression, and said, "Young brother, your forehead is darkened. Recently, a great disaster is about to befall you. Your energy is weak, drained by a woman. Am I right? I'm afraid you will die in a short while." As soon as he said this, the gatekeeper was completely panicked. With a thud, he fell to his knees, pleading desperately for Zhao, the half-immortal, to save his life. When I saw this, I couldn't help but give a thumbs up to Zhao, the half-immortal. Impressive. Shortly after, the gatekeeper respectfully invited us into the house. He began to tell us about Little Rong. It turns out that this gatekeeper, named Little Zhang, had once pursued Little Rong, who was originally a factory girl. However, Little Rong did not reciprocate his feelings. Later, Little Rong started dating a boyfriend named Brother Chang, and their relationship was very good. They spent all their time together. But later, it was heard that Brother Chang was a scumbag. Not only did he deceive Little Rong of her money and body, but he also took her naked photos, threatening her to engage in the flesh trade. Upon hearing this, Zhao, the half-immortal, and I both stood up excitedly and cursed that Brother Chong was not human. Listening to me, Little Zhang actually stuttered a bit and said, "Those guests that Brother Chong asked Little Rong to attend to might really not be human." When Little Rong was alive, every late night Brother Chong would arrive to pick her up in a three-wheeled vehicle. The three-wheeler was very eerie, bright red and glamorous, like a sedan chair for a distant relative's wedding. The only difference was that there were two wooden plaques hanging on both sides of the vehicle, one with "Peace under Heaven" written on it, and the other with "Fortune at First Sight" written on it. The most incredible thing was that there was a bed inside the carriage, covered with flower petals and emitting a unique fragrance. People were enchanted and filled with excitement, itching to act. In the early morning, Brother Chong will bring Little Rong back. Strangely, every time Little Rong returns, he is covered in bruises and red marks from being beaten. Upon hearing this, Zhao, the half-immortal, couldn't help but take a deep breath. "Peace under Heaven, Fortune at First Sight." Aren't those the two wooden tablets held by the soul collector Black and White Impermanence when they collect souls? Little John lowered his head and continued, "I don't know where Brother Chong takes the car every time he comes to pick up people, but I'm sure he must be taking them to the underworld to be offered to Lord Yama King. These customers are not human, they're ghosts." "What did you do after you mentioned your momentary greed?" Suddenly being asked by me, Little John is clearly feeling a little guilty. He stuttered and said, "Brother Chong comes into the neighborhood every night to shut me up, tempting me to get in the car with Little Rong, such a beautiful woman that I've never touched in my life. That's why I ended up with the woman from Soul Collector." Here, Little Zhang knelt down with a thud, begging Zhao, the half-immortal, to save his life. He kept arguing in his mouth, "I think any normal man would do the same. Little Rong is too beautiful. I pursued her before, but she refused. Now that happened to her, I couldn't help myself but—" Zhao, the half-immortal, pushed away his hand and asked, "Your forehead is dark, as if drained of vitality. You've probably been overeating tonics recently to nourish your kidneys. How many times have you lied to me?" Little Zhang was first startled. Then he lowered his head, feeling somewhat guilty, and said, "Basically, Brother Chong takes Little Rong out almost every day. I will get on the car when you come to me. I am Little Rong's first customer every day. I heard that Little Rong was pregnant while on the train and later had an abortion. I don't know if it was my child. I heard up to here. Zhao and I, the half-immortal, are both itching with anger. This person is just scum. It's only right that they die." Upon seeing us, Little Zhang hurriedly grabbed Zhao, the half-immortal's corner of his robe, and earnestly begged, "Great immortal Little Rong's death has nothing to do with me. It was all Brother Chong's instigation that led me to this point. Little Rong has turned into a ghost and has already begun to retaliate against the two people who shared the same apartment with her. Once those two people are dead, it will be my turn. Great immortal, please save me," Little Zhang said as he knelt down, kowtowing vigorously. It seems that he is even more diligent in kowtowing than in paying respects to his own ancestors. Zhao, the half-immortal, looked at him with some disdain and said, "Go back. We are here to resolve this matter." Upon hearing this, Little Zhang was instantly moved to tears of gratitude. We had walked quite a distance away, but he was still there waving his hands. However, for scum like him, we cannot save. Such a person who aids the enemy is only getting what he deserves. Unable to catch up to Little Rong, he joined the ranks of the aggressors. Truly, he is no better than a beast. However, that hearse is obviously not that simple. Inside, it is decorated as a wedding car, and even has a sign of Black and White Impermanence. Could it be really taking souls to the underworld to be enjoyed by the Yama King at night? Regarding this, Zhao, the half-immortal, said he is also not clear, but worshipping the Yama King is impossible. It might be some kind of ritual or something. Just as we were about to go to Little Rong's dormitory to check the situation, suddenly a voice came from behind shouting Zhang Qiming's name as he ran towards us. Then he made a very middle schooler expression saying, "Brother Yu, where is the ghost? I can't contain my immense power anymore. I must vanquish the demons and ghosts." I told him not to worry, the ghost is upstairs. He will have a chance to show his skills soon. At the same time, I couldn't help but sigh in my heart that it was indeed the right choice to tattoo a Zhongkui catching ghosts pattern on these two silly guys. The heart of man is more evil than that of a ghost. What is goodness, and what is evil after all? After going upstairs, I used the key Li Shan gave me to open the door. At the moment the door was opened, a strong foul smell rushed over, making me feel nauseous. Zhao, the half-immortal, pinched his nose. He said with a disgusted look, "Indeed suspicious. Little Rong may have body odor, and it's particularly strong. The room is filled with this smell." I followed the direction of the strongest smell, and found Little Rong's room. Zhao, the half-immortal, suggests that some women who have a body odor that tends to sweat easily are said to have a peculiar smell called fox odor. The intense fragrance in front of me might be emitted from Little Rong's bodily fluids, likely some kind of bewitching spell to seduce men. In ancient times, women with fox odor were feared by everyone, which stimulated the development of a kind of witchcraft. There is a medicine called the flesh-healing pill. Taking a bath with this medicine can turn body odor into a pleasant fragrance, emitting a deadly feminine scent. The sweat scent produced can even induce romantic feelings. It is said that beauties such as Yang Guifei and Shishir have used it before. However, it is said that the medicine bath is particularly harmful to the body. The medicine that makes women sweat in that way can penetrate deep into the bone marrow. Little Rong's death may be related to this medicine bath. But the fact that it is labeled with black and white impermanence is puzzling. Just as I was talking with Zhao, the half-immortal, Zhang Qiming fumbled to open a cabinet. I didn't expect to find a woman hidden inside. With a thud, she ran towards us. She was a middle-aged obese woman, probably weighing around 200 caddies, emitting a strong smell of sweat. She also had a bunch of keys hanging around her waist. It seems that she should be the landlord who came to inspect and tidy up Little Rong's room, but ended up being possessed by Little Rong's unjust spirit. Just saw this fat woman straddling Zhang Qiming, about to have some fun with him. This scene is really exciting. Even Zhao, the half-immortal, is deeply intoxicated by this amazing sweat smell and can't extricate himself. I initially wanted to wake him up. I didn't expect this sweat smell to actually rush towards me. I was almost enchanted by it myself. Good thing I reacted in time. I kicked the fat woman off Zhang Qiming with one foot. I exposed the Zhongkui catching ghosts pattern behind him. Ghost catcher, help me exorcise the ghost. Evil beings, don't be so presumptuous, accompanied by the thunderous sound of Zhongkui. The female ghost trembled all over. A red shadow dashed out wildly, screaming in extreme panic. "Why won't you leave me alone? You're going too far by chasing me here. Are you despicable people here to get rid of me on Brother Chang's orders?" With a swoosh, the red shadow disappeared at the window. She got away. I felt a bit sorry about it. But Zhao, the half-immortal, said, "Is it bad that she got away? Can we defeat her if she stays here?" I've thought about it, and it seems to make sense. However, our Zhao the Immortal seems to have been in a bit of danger just now. Making such a joke about Zhao, the half-immortal, makes me feel a bit embarrassed. Cough's getting old, not as spirited as before. But speaking of that female ghost, she should only be able to return to her corpse by now. We need to find some time to go check out the cemetery over there. But before that, we still need to make a trip to the pet store. Later, I went to the pet store and bought a fox to bring back. Li Shan asked me if buying a fox to bring back was to exorcise demons. I said it's partly right but not all. It is said that there is a debtor for every debt. Little Rong was killed by Brother Chang. I wonder if Little Rong avenges herself, would she be able to rest in peace and be reincarnated peacefully? Upon hearing this, Zhao, the half-immortal, also understood my intention. He stood up with a swoosh. He asked me if I was going to help that evil spirit harm people. I let out a long sigh. I expressed my own opinion. Evil spirit? What is an evil spirit? Killing demands a life in return. It's only fair. The heart is more evil than a ghost. What is good, and what is evil after all? When I asked him like that, Zhao, the half-immortal, instantly became discouraged. He said slowly, "You are right. Brother Chang is truly a demon worse than pigs and dogs. Helping little Rong to avoid causing harm to the world can be considered a good deed." Later, I poked the little fox's nose to indicate that foxes belong to the 5 fairies of the Northeast, who are typically known for being enchanting and seductive. This fox has not had its anal glands removed, so the foxy scent is still present, which coincidentally fits the characteristics of Little Rong's body fragrance. I am planning to give it a tattoo. Let Little Rong's spirit merge into the pattern spirit, so that Little Rong can take the little fox to seek revenge. Half an hour later. This tattoo is done. Rakshasi Ghost Tattoo Pattern. In Buddhism, Raksha refers to demons. This creature is extremely ugly looking. The female one is extremely beautiful. A stunning woman full of enchanting seductive power tempts others. This kind of ghost is very much in line with Little Rong, a seductive female ghost. After I put away the tattoo tools, I picked up the little fox and said, "I will give you a spirit-infused tattoo to grant you a great opportunity. Later, if Little Rong appears on your body, you must seek revenge for her and fulfill her wish so that she will obediently serve as your tattoo. May the Yin spirit in the tattoo bless you. Do you understand?" The little fox seemed to understand and let out a squeak towards me. Miao Qianqian and Zhao, the half-immortal, who were on the side, witnessed this scene. Both of them felt amazed. Indeed, she is the fox fairy. All preparations are ready. We are going to the cemetery to find Little Rong now. When we arrived at the cemetery, it was already dark. I walked ahead with a flashlight and searched for quite a few. We finally found the tombstone of Chun Little Rong. But before we could get close to the tombstone, a red light flashed not far away. The red light suddenly attached to Miao Qianqian. She is controlling Miao Qianqian's body. Her gaze is bloodshot. She snarled at us with bared teeth and waving claws. "Why don't you even give me a chance for revenge? Are you also here to catch me?" I advised her to calm down. "I am here to help you seek revenge. As the saying goes, those who have committed wrongs will have a master to settle scores. You shouldn't go harm other innocent people. Go seek revenge from the right person." I didn't expect that she started crying when I spoke. Do you think I don't want to, Brother Chang? Guilt comes with doing too many bad deeds. Not only does he have a dozen bodyguards around him all the time, but he also went to the temple to ask a master for an amulet and placed a bagua mirror in his house. How can I seek revenge on him? Seeing this, I quickly spread my hands and pointed to the little fox on the ground, saying, "Don't worry, I'm here to help you. Your cultivation is too shallow. Without physical harm, you can't hurt others. I found a fox for you, tattooed it with Rakshasi Ghost tattoo on its back. If you go inside, you'll be able to seek revenge." Upon hearing this, Little Rong's eyes lit up, and she looked down at the little fox. With her eyes gleaming red, she said, "Raksha Ghost, this fox is also naturally spiritual. What a righteous and open-minded plan. So be it. If I can avenge my enemies, the rest is up to you to handle." Accompanied by Little Rong's departure, Miao Qianqian also fainted. At the same time, a remarkable scent began to emanate from the little fox's body. Turning around, it left behind a sentence. "If this enmity can be resolved, I will definitely come back to repay the great kindness of Yin Yang Master." After saying that, she burrowed into the bushes. A few days later, news reports came out with the message of Brother Chang's death. According to eyewitnesses, a fox was seen entering the scene, adding a mysterious touch to the case. I'll be right back. Hearst Pickup Service. Accidentally conceived a ghost fetus. Ghost infant appears in the world only to save the mother. Our protagonist has just dealt with little Rome's matter. He has a new visitor at the door again. The man named Li Bull also heard that there is a Yin Master here, so he came to ask for a favor. I took another look, and it was a tricycle. I have a vague and ominous premonition. And Zhao, the half-immortal, also noticed that the yin chi of these three carriages is extremely heavy, afraid that there is something unclean. Zhao, the half-immortal's words instantly made Li Bull stutter. So I leaned in next to Zhao, the half-immortal, and whispered, "Old Zhao, not again. We just walked out of the shadow of the tricycle, and another one is coming." Before Li Bull could say anything, Zhao, the half-immortal, took out the compass and walked to the front of the tricycle. As a result, as soon as he approached, the pointer on the compass started to spin rapidly. The next moment, countless yin chi poured out, scaring the half-immortal, who fell to the ground with a thud. He looked up and saw a grotesque ghost baby. Then Zhao, the half-immortal, and I went back into the room and placed the signs, "Peace under heaven," and "Fortune at first sight," in front of Li Bull. We asked him what he knew and urged him to speak up, as it seemed he could no longer hide it. In the end, Li Bull finally revealed the truth. "Since you are also in the know, I'll keep it brief. This ghost baby is not my child. It is the son of my godson, Cloud's sister. I am from the same hometown as Cloud's sister. Initially, she was just serving drinks at the club, while I was a pedicab driver. Later, seeing that Cloud's sister couldn't make enough money, Mama-san's sister Red instigated us to join in, starting this business. Only 7 sets of pedicabs are allowed in this trade. Someone must leave for another to enter. Luckily, we joined when someone left. We must also strictly adhere to 3 rules. Rule 1. There must be 1 man and 1 woman in each team. The man drives the pedicab, and the woman sits in it. The man must not have ejaculated recently, meaning he cannot have contact with a woman's yang chi energy in the days leading up to the job. Rule 2. The woman must naturally have body odor, then soak herself in their special medicine bath. After soaking, her whole body emits an intoxicating feminine fragrance that is particularly enticing and irresistible. Regardless of her beauty or appearance, those customers will become addicted and will pay a high price of 2,000 renminbi just to be with her once. Rule 3. The interior of the 3-wheeled motorcycle must be arranged as a wedding bed, with peach-wood signs hanging on both sides that say, "Peace under heaven," and "Fortune at first sight." That night, Cloud's sister and I went to the outskirts to pick up a guest. Perhaps due to the bumps on the road, the 2 signs fell off, and we didn't notice. Strange things happened later. The guests we picked up had a black mark on their forehead, which was exceptionally terrifying. That man seemed like he had never been in contact with a woman in his life. He stayed in the car for a full 3 hours. At first, he paid with proper money. But later, that pile of money turned into ghost money. I think it's very creepy. In the daytime, I returned to the place where I picked up passengers and found out that it was actually a cemetery. The man I met that night had already passed away. Later, Cloud's sister became pregnant. At first, we were all very scared and didn't know what was in her belly. But Cloud's sister was even more afraid that the man's yin spirit would come to haunt her. So she decided to give birth to the child. We have nowhere to go. She had to give birth in the car. Unexpectedly, what she gave birth to was a stillborn baby. Later, Cloud's sister left a letter and then left, while this ghost baby has been following me. Now I just want to find a way to send him away. I see that he keeps the letter so well. I asked him if he likes that Cloud's sister. Li Bull hesitated for a moment and said, "Yes." Upon hearing that, I walked up and slapped him. Later, I angrily said, "You like a woman, yet allow her to humiliate herself, resulting in such a terrible outcome. You deserve this slap." Li Bull turned his head without saying a word. Seeing him like this, Zhao, the half-immortal, couldn't help but snort coldly. He pointed to the tricycle behind him, saying, "This vehicle is a lewd one. I don't know how many bad deeds it has done every night, with such heavy energy. It's this energy that has nurtured that ghostly infant. Speaking of karma, all of you are implicated." Hearing Zhao, the half-immortal, say this, Li Bull immediately panicked and asked what should be done now. Go to the temple. You need to find a high monk to help deliver the ghost baby. Otherwise, the next one to die will be you. Later, we brought the tricycle to a temple and invited a senior monk to help with the spiritual redemption of the ghost baby. The senior monk is holding a bell. He is chanting the rebirth mantra. He started the spiritual redemption ritual towards the tricycle. Soon, the ghost baby appeared in its true form. The high monk asked him, "After I help you attain rebirth, do you have any unresolved wishes?" The ghost baby opened its eyes and whispered, "Go save my mother." We were surprised to hear that the ghost baby actually spoke. I couldn't help but be shocked. He had absorbed a large amount of energy left in the car, and already had some basic Taoist skills. Li Bull was scared and sweating profusely, asking what he was talking about. At this moment, the ghost baby's face suddenly became fierce and emitted a strange scream. My mother, Zhang Whitecloud, became seriously ill, so I had to come out and do this. Now that little Rong is dead, it will soon be my mother's turn. My mother loves you deeply and deliberately made you angry to drive you away. She is now being held in some place in the western suburbs. Let's go and save her after knowing the truth." Li Bull can't hold it any longer, and is about to bring the ghost baby to go and rescue the person immediately. I hurriedly rushed up to try to stop them, but Li Bull completely ignored me. He rode off on a tricycle and quickly disappeared. We're in big trouble now. In desperation, I had to ask Miao Qianqian to call Zhang Qiming. I remember seeing him with a tricycle last time. Also, put the stuff from Brother Chan on Zhang Qiming's car to disguise it as a hearse and sneak in to rescue people. For safety reasons, I also called Little Snowby, hoping she could come and help. Little Snowby seems to have already known that something would happen. She said she has been keeping an eye on me, and the person finally showed his true colors. Everything is about to begin. I'm a bit confused and don't know what she is talking about, but I don't have time to think about it now. Soon, we sat in Zhang Qiming's car and followed Li Bull, but this road looked familiar to me no matter how I looked at it. When we reached the destination and I saw that big locust tree, I suddenly realized that this was not my former school. Chen Lei had hanged himself on this tree. They are hiding here. Could it be that they are guiding me to the hanging pact? Zhao, the half-immortal, looking at the school layout, it seems ominous. The atmosphere here is too heavy. It is an abandoned haunted school. Those two buildings along with a locust tree at the entrance, combined with the shape of the mountain, resemble a huge skull. A road crosses at the neck, as if decapitating the giant skull alive. People often say willows nurture scholars and locust trees nurture ghosts, but this locust tree has nurtured far too many. I once saw news that a fire broke out in this school in the past, trapping a whole class of students in a classroom who were burned alive. Upon hearing this, I turned around and replied that there is indeed such a thing. That happened before I graduated. Later, this place became more and more eerie, and our school was abandoned because of that. At this moment, Zhao, the half-immortal, noticed another classroom where ghostly shadows loomed. It is estimated that someone was burned to death in that classroom back in the days. Moreover, there was also the sound of a ghost baby crying over there. There shouldn't be any dead babies in this school, so it must be Li Bull and his son. The situation is urgent now, and we can't worry too much. I'll have Zhang Qiming walk in front. He has the Zhongkui talisman to protect himself, so there should be no problem dealing with ordinary Yin spirits. Kui start kicking the Big Dipper, the celestial master Zhongkui. He not only captures ghosts, but also eats them. Just as I was about to help Li Bull untie himself, suddenly, a cold wind blew from behind. A white-clothed female ghost rushed towards me. Fortunately, I had anticipated this. I turned around and pressed the bell onto the head of the female ghost. The female ghost let out a miserable scream and flew away. At this moment, Zhang Qiming did not hesitate to tear open his clothes, revealing his pattern of Zhong Kui kicking the Big Dipper. Celestial Master Zhong Kui appears. Immediately after, a terrifying force suddenly emanated from behind him, and the female ghost was sucked into the painting without even the ability to resist. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but widen my eyes. The pattern of Zhong Kui kicking the Big Dipper has always been about expelling ghosts, but now it can even devour them. Although there is a folklore saying that Zhong Kui eats ghosts, the pattern I tattooed is righteous and not so domineering and evil. But as soon as I saw Zhang Qiming's silly look, I can only say that he is a lucky fool. At this moment, Li Bull, who had just been released from bondage, suddenly shouted excitedly, "My Cloud sister is in the classroom next door. Sister Red asked us to welcome the guests, which will not only shorten Cloud's sister's life, but also help her absorb the essence of 100 ghosts through her lower body, turning her into a fierce ghost in the end." Upon hearing about the essence of 100 ghosts, Zhao, the half-immortal, couldn't help but inhale sharply in shock. But Li Bull doesn't care about these. He immediately turned around and charged forward, ready to fight with all his might. We followed him to the classroom where, through the window, we could see a woman cowering in the corner, being attacked by evil spirits. Zhao, the half-immortal, was so angry that he stomped his foot and couldn't help but curse. "This is a place of lecherous ghosts and heart-devouring spirits. After absorbing the essence of 100 ghosts and being thrown into such an ominous place, one would be bitten to death by the 100 ghosts and suffer all kinds of torment. The resentment would be overwhelming, nurturing the most ferocious ghosts. Sister Red is truly ruthless." Upon hearing this, Li Bull could bear it no longer. He kicked open the classroom door with one swift motion. He rushed up together with the ghost baby and engaged in a fierce battle with the Yin spirit. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from the door saying, "I'll handle this." Zhang Qiming turned around and revealed the pattern of Zhong Kui kicking the Big Dipper on his back. He was no longer the chubby guy he used to be. He had grown much taller, and his body had become very muscular. However, it seems that the pattern on the picture has changed. Seeing this scene, I couldn't help but take a deep breath in shock. Zhang Qiming stepped forward, and suddenly a strong suction force came from his body. All the Yin spirits in the classroom were sucked into the drawing without any resistance. Li Bull also took the opportunity to pick up his Cloud sister. He turned around and fled the classroom. Zhao, the half-immortal, grabbed my hand and urged me to run, saying that Zhang Qiming had been possessed by Zhong Kui and everything would be fine. I looked at the changes in Zhang Qiming's body and knew that something was definitely not right. But the current situation is urgent, and I don't have time to think too much. So I followed Zhao, the half-immortal, and escaped from that classroom. But as soon as we walked out, we found that someone had been waiting for us for a long time. Li Bull saw the newcomer and immediately shouted angrily, "Sister Red is the one who recruited us into the organization. She almost got us killed." But Sister Red remained very calm and said, "Li Bull, this was a decision you made willingly. Each of you can earn over 300,000 in a month by taking clients. Do you think money just falls from the sky? That's the money you get for risking your lives." Li Bull angrily retorted, "No matter what you say, you should pay the price for hurting my Cloud sister." At this moment, Miao Qianqian and Li Shan took out their weapons and confronted the three people opposite them. Both sides looked ready to fight, and it seemed like they were about to start a battle. I quickly stepped in to mediate. "Now is not the time to fight. We need to run. If we don't run, we will all die." But Sister Red thought I cared about her and immediately summoned the Yin spirit to attack us. Just as the two Yin spirits were about to attack us, but suddenly turned into wisps of Yin energy. That Yin energy was sucked into a person's mouth. Immediately, a voice came from behind. "Comfortable, truly comfortable. I've eaten so many ghosts that this Zhongkue kicking the Big Dipper ghost tattoo is finally complete. When I turned around to look, the mastermind behind the scenes was actually Zhang Qiming. All of this is actually his doing. So the hanging pack shouldn't be the vengeful spirit of Chun-Lei, it's you who's harming me. So many years have passed, and you're still as clever as ever. If I didn't know you well and switch bodies, I wouldn't have been able to trick you into coming to give me a tattoo. After listening to his words, I fell silent. But Sister Red was furious and charged forward to question. Who are you? How dare you destroy my little ghost? Zhang Qiming was not polite either, and slapped Sister Red fiercely, sending her flying several meters away. He said coldly, Do you think you are raising ghosts? Who taught you the evil curse of fragrant daughter? In this ghost school, there are so many ghosts. Do you think this arrangement is natural? Do you think you've gained a great advantage? I am your ancestor. I set up this arrangement. The mastermind behind the scenes finally shows up. The big boss turns out to be the foolish second brother, Zhang Qiming. I asked him who he really is. He asked me to guess for myself and claimed to be someone who is already dead. From his tone, I knew he was someone very familiar with me. It must be someone who has known me for a long time. Chun-Lei committed suicide by hanging many years ago. Xiao Little Lu's being eaten made the news, and Xiao Rou jumped off a building in front of me. All these people are already dead. Zhang Shun can only be Zhang Shun faking his death. You tattooed a gold dragon on me, then faked your death in a car accident to deceive everyone. It's me. Why? We have no grievances or enmity against each other. We grew up together. Why did you want to harm me? When Zhang Shun said this, his expression changed. He looked up at the night sky and said, Everything happened in this high school. Today, everything will come to an end here. And you are the last person I have to kill. You know, I have been a poker face since I was a child. The doctor said I suffer from emotional detachment disorder, unable to be interested in anything. People around me all say I am a monster. But there's a secret that none of you know. I enjoy peeping, spying on other people's secrets. I sneak a peek at other people's diaries, observe others having affairs, wanting to understand others' emotions. I want to know what those who have emotions are like. I peeped and found out that Xiao Little Lu is having an affair with our principal. That woman has been promiscuous since high school, and that day was the beginning of everything. Back then, Xiao Little Lu sat behind Chun-Lei just because Chun-Lei had body odor, so she had the principal take care of her. She said Chun-Lei was timid and introverted, often bullied, and could only come to the principal to complain. Now that the principal has taken care of her, she is being blackmailed by using scholarships, so she can only let others take advantage of her. Chun-Lei is ugly and has body odor, but developed early and has a decent figure. The principal is a scumbag from the start. In order to win Xiao Little Lu's affections, he continues to support Xiao Little Lu. 3 days later in the principal's office, he raped Chun-Lei. Later, the principal tasted the sweetness and began to frequently bully Chun-Lei in different places. At different times. I have always been relatively indifferent as a person, but I do not despise Chun-Lei, as her heart is very beautiful, even if her body becomes filthy. If no one else wants her, I'll just marry her casually. Anyway, I don't care about anyone. But later, watching her cry actually stirred my emotions. That feeling of a pounding heart is something I have never experienced in my life. It is wonderful. I look forward to that kind of beauty. So when I saw her wanting to commit suicide, I stopped her, but I didn't expect that she would end up living more miserably than dead. At that time, in order to ease her mental pain, I learned from my grandmother, who was a witch, a kind of evil curse that could help her transform body odor into fragrance. However, the evil curse back then was 10 times more overbearing than the one cast by Sister Red now. After the body odor was transformed into fragrance, it spread a scent within a 10-meter radius. Chun-Lei transformed into an unparalleled beauty, captivating everyone and arousing desire. Walking down the street, countless people were enchanted by her. And that beastly principal became even more insane. During an extracurricular activity, Chinlei attempted to commit suicide by jumping into the river when we weren't paying attention, but you saved her instead. After you saved Chinlei, you collapsed from exhaustion and passed out. Some boys from the neighboring class ran over to help, but you were unaware of these events. After falling into the water, Chinlei's magnificent figure was undoubtedly revealed, combined with a strong body scent that filled the air. Those boys were all bewitched by evil spells, losing their minds to lust. They did unforgivable things to her. That day was simply like hell on earth. When Chinlei woke up, she completely broke down. In the end, overwhelmed with resentment, she hanged herself on the locust tree at the school gate. Locust trees nurture ghosts. Her resentful spirit turned into a malicious ghost, lurking in the tree without dispersing. And I am just a voyeur, with no ability to change anything. That time was the most intense emotional fluctuation in my life. But the person who made me a feelings just left like that. So I decided to help Chinlei seek revenge. Before graduation, I locked the bullies who had bullied Chinlei in the classroom and burned the whole class to death. Afterwards, I threatened the principal with all the secrets I knew, blocked the news, and only announced that the classroom caught fire. The incident was covered up, and our school gradually became abandoned due to haunting. The Feng Shui Bureau and everything that happened to you guys are all part of my plan. Do you know that just now, when I used the pattern of Kuei Star kicking the Big Dipper to devour the souls of those people, those ghosts kept screaming? I felt so delighted in my heart. After hearing all this, both Xiao, the half-immortal, and I couldn't help but take a deep breath in shock. Li Shan and Li Bu rushed up angrily. They are about to fight him with all their might. But at this moment, Zhang Shun is no longer what he used to be. He, who has absorbed so many grudges' souls. He simply knocked down the two with one kick. The little fox is ready to strike, and wants to sneak attack from behind. Zhang Shun doesn't even look back. But the picture behind him. But it's like it has eyes, Kuei Star kicking the Big Dipper, invincible against evil spirits. He backhandedly knocked the little fox away. The severely injured little fox transformed back to its original form. I asked Zhang Shun why he sacrificed his lifespan to lurk around me, and went to such lengths to do all of this. What is the purpose behind it all? But Zhang Shun said that I am at the center of that locust tree, with the resentment of hundreds of ghosts nurturing Chinlei's soul, forming the Feng Shui pattern of this Yin Long Jiuyuan. In the end, he is just trying to resurrect Chinlei. Upon hearing the word, resurrect, my heart instantly cooled. How can one come back to life after death? No matter how strong you are, you can't defy nature, right? No, it's not as complicated as you think. As long as Chinlei's spirit is strong enough, I can use the ghost-raising technique to attach his soul to a living person's body, thus resurrecting him. So the pattern you tattooed, pattern of Kuei Star kicking the Big Dipper, is the most crucial part of this plan. Otherwise, where would I get so many Yin souls for Chinlei to consume? Since that's the case, your purpose is now fulfilled, and I've also helped you. We have no grudges or grievances with you. Can you let us leave? No. Why? Chinlei jumped into the river that year, and I risked my life to save her. I also helped you tattoo the pattern of Kuei Star kicking the Big Dipper on your back. The image has absorbed so many ghosts, and has already become an extremely powerful ghost tattoo. Why won't you let me go? Because of the overall layout of this Yin Long gathering abyss, nurturing Chinlei's lingering spirit for so many years. Even the 100 ghost tattoos on my body cannot suppress her. So I must become stronger. Now, only the last step is left, and that is your life. Ancient swordsmiths forged famous swords. They could jump into the furnace to sacrifice themselves for the sword to be perfected. Therefore, I hope you can also sacrifice yourself to become the Yin spirit main soul that Zhong Kuei commanded for this diagram. This is the true heritage of a famous diagram. I see, I cannot reason with or defeat them. I'm going to run as soon as I bring Miao Qianqian along. However, Zhang Shun is not likely to let us leave easily. He just roared loudly and summoned 2 Yin spirits to firmly entangle us. He said coldly, "Just right. One will be killed to become the spirit behind me, and the other will be left for Chinlei to possess and seize the body." Long the Yin gathers the spirits of the abyss and nurtures the fierce creatures. Zhong Kuei demands life sacrifices in exchange for averting calamities. Zhang Shan lifted me up and said that he will kill you first as a sacrifice to amplify the power of this painting several times. This way, I can release Chinlei. I feel like he has gone insane. He angrily yelled at me, saying, "It's not me who's crazy, it's this damn world." Just as Zhang Shan was about to attack me, a bell smashed onto his arm. It was Bai Little Snow who came over. Zhang Shan looked at Bai Little Snow with a calm expression and said coldly, "Bai Little Snow, Chen Tang, Bai family, you shouldn't have intervened in this matter. You should know that my victory is assured. Previously, I was no match for you, but now you may die here." Bai Little Snow smiled and said, "Back when Su Qingyuan seized our Bai family's fortune, if it weren't for Master Chung Sun personally intervening to help us avoid disaster, our Bai family would have been destroyed long ago. I can't bear to see the descendants of the Chung family die in front of me." "That's good. With a powerful Yin spirit like you absorbed into the painting, it can enhance my strength. I will kill you first, then kill them." Soon, the battle between Zhang Shan and Bai Little Snow began. The two fought fiercely in the air. Zhang Shan controlled a little ghost to transform into a long whip and struck towards Bai Little Snow. Bai Little Snow held a bell-like magical instrument in each hand, emitting golden light. She suddenly threw out one of them. She scattered Zhang Shan's little demons. Seeing her own little demon being defeated, Zhang Shan's face was full of disbelief. But Bai Little Snow sneered and said disdainfully, "What you've swallowed is just a common resentful spirit. Compared to the fierce ghosts specially raised by ancient experts, it's too weak. I can even drive away fierce ghosts, let alone a few resentful spirits." Just as Bai Little Snow finished speaking, Zhang Shan suddenly turned fierce. The resentful spirits poured out from his body. All of them blasted onto Bai Little Snow. Zhang Shan looked down at Bai Little Snow from a high vantage point. He snorted coldly, "Shameless braggart." But he was still too pleased with himself too early. Bai Little Snow had just pretended to be defeated. She was aiming for the fatal blow now. Zhang Shan's body started to crumble from this blow. Resentful spirits within the body broke out and fell to the ground. Bai Little Snow looked at the fallen Zhang Shan and said, "You've lost. Losing to me is not unjust. I exchanged 7 years of cultivation for a lifetime." Zhang Shan, leaning against a big tree with a face full of reluctance, said, "I lost. I actually lost. My lifelong plans were shattered so easily by you." I advise him to turn back while there is still time, Zhang Shan. It's not too late to stop now. But Zhang Shan said one sentence. "I refuse to accept defeat." Then he bit hard into his own arm. He smeared the fresh blood on the locust tree. Bai Little Snow realized that things were getting dangerous and wanted to intervene. But she was pushed away by him with a slap. Next, he took out a dusty wooden box from the tree hole. Then he poured everything onto the tree. I smelled the pungent fishy smell, and I knew it was corpse oil. That's right, this is the corpse oil from the one class of people I burned to death. I am now offering it as a sacrifice to Chinlei, so that Chinlei can savor the taste of revenge. After saying that, Zhang Shan lit a lighter and threw it onto the corpse oil with a snap. The flame spread quickly. Revive. Zhang Shan stood in front of the tree, laughing heartily, "Chinlei, revive." Even Bai Little Snow couldn't help but exclaim when he saw this scene. That locust tree is a feng shui formation key that gathers Yin energy. It was burned with murky corpse oil, releasing the vengeful spirit Chinlei that has been nurtured for so many years. We are afraid that the situation might be more bad than good. At this point, the giant tree dozens of meters away has turned into flames. A huge ferocious ghost face emerged in the flames. Zhang Shun excitedly turned to look at Chenlei. But what awaited him was raging flames. The fire quickly enveloped him. He screamed in pain and asked Chenlei, "Why?" Chenlei's response was, "I have attempted suicide several times unsuccessfully. You saved me, but made me suffer even more darkness. Did you ever ask me if I wanted to live? Have you ever asked me if I wanted to be trapped here after I die?" Accompanied by a scream, Zhang Shun disappeared completely in the flames. Only the Zhongkui 100 Ghost tattoo was left behind. I watched the flames burning in the distance, and I stood there transfixed. At this moment, Bai Little Snow stepped forward. I saw her approaching and quickly asked her what she wanted to do. But she said that Chenlei is not an evil spirit. She is also a pitiful person. I want to have a conversation with the deceased Chenlei. I watched as Bai Little Snow walked safely into the fire. I know that Chenlei is full of resentment. If something happens, it will be a catastrophe. But when she killed Zhang Shun and didn't harm Bai Little Snow, she must still have a shred of humanity, a glimmer of kindness. The problem now is whether Bai Little Snow can keep her in check. At this moment, Bai Little Snow is sitting in front of the locust tree, using her magical powers to suppress Chenlei's evil spirit. With a solemn expression, she says, "I am meditating here, complimenting this Zhongkui 100 Ghost tattoo. If I still can't suppress her after 7 days, I will die here. You will also be taken by death. So please remember to come back. I know. I will find a way within 7 days. Wait for me. Please don't die. You guys leave. Staying here is of no use. Go back to heal and save people first. The rest will be up to fate." In the end, I took one last look and Bai Little Snow left with Miao Qianqian. The young girl sleepwalks in the middle of the night. She actually lifted the man's skull. She was enjoying eating with a blissful expression on her face. After settling in the injured Li Shan, Li Bull, and the hospitalized Cloud Sister, we all had a night of exhaustion, but I couldn't fall asleep. The dream-eating taper image and the Zhongkui catching ghosts painting from Little Snow Bai's collection can both ward off evil spirits, but it's not enough. If 3 spirit-infused tattoos are combined and inked onto someone with a strong destiny, it might be possible to suppress the malevolent spirit of Chenlei. However, this is too difficult. Just as I was pondering where to obtain the 3rd human skin image, a fox that woke up let out a series of whimpering sounds and clumsily climbed onto the table. I patted its head and said, "Thank you for unexpectedly attacking last night. But after you were knocked out, the fierce ghost Little Rong you were carrying has already been sucked away by Zhang Shun. The tattoo on your body has returned to its righteous pattern." At this moment, a soft voice suddenly came from the door asking, "Is Chengyu here?" I was stunned for a moment and turned my head to look. A beautiful girl stood at the door. Her name is Zhang Mutian. She is my former senior sister. She also heard that I can handle some things that ordinary people can't handle, so she wanted to ask me for help. Although I am currently thinking about what to do with the 3rd ghost tattoo, I couldn't refuse her due to our past relationship, so I decided to help her. After that, Zhang Mutian started talking about her situation. My brother and I adopted a blind little girl, but she turned out to be a monster. Every day, she does some indescribable things to my brother. I'm afraid I can't explain it clearly, so I secretly installed surveillance. Take a look. After she finished, she handed me the phone. The man sleeping in the video should be her brother. Then the door suddenly opened, and a little girl walked in as if she were sleepwalking. She grabbed the man's hair tightly. She even pulled off a piece of his scalp. Sitting in front of the bed, she licked the skull with great enjoyment. After watching the entire video, I felt a surge of unrest in my stomach. Zhao, the half-immortal, couldn't help but lean in the corner and retch for a while. I asked Zhang Mutian how her brother is doing after having his skull opened up. Unexpectedly, Zhang Mutian said that this is the most unimaginable thing. My brother looks completely fine now. He even goes to work normally every day. I dare not tell him, afraid that it might be some kind of evil curse. If my brother finds out and removes his skull by himself, he might die. When I think about it, there is indeed this danger. At this moment, Zhang Mutian said with a frightened expression, "And I don't think she is really blind. I once tried to follow her from a distance, but she was very sensitive and spotted me right away. The eyes under her eyelids will move. I can feel her staring at me." "So what you mean is she is actually a ghost licking the skull, close her eyes, and still be able to see things, clairvoyant?" Zhang Mutian nodded quickly and said yes. According to her description, I turned to Zhao, the half-immortal standing beside me, and asked, "Do you know what the technique of ghost licking the skull is?" Zhao, the half-immortal, thought for a moment and indicated that if it is an evil curse, something invisible to the naked eye, it cannot be seen even from a video. If that little girl is a monster, we may need to look into her eyes to make a conclusion. Zhao, the half-immortal's words made Zhang Mutian even more anxious. She begged me to help her, saying that ever since she adopted this girl, not only is her brother in danger, but their family's fortune is also declining. She believes that it is this little girl who has been consuming their family's luck. I advised her not to worry and asked her to go back first. I will go over to help her take a look tonight. I watched her back as she left. I couldn't help but worry about the situation on by Little Snow's side. I don't know how it is now. If we can't find a solution within 7 days, we will all die. I wonder if this Yogwai that eats luck will work. Later, I went to the hospital to visit Li Shan and exchanged a few simple pleasantries with him. I watched how he and his girlfriend, Little Chui, interacted intimately. I also didn't want to be a third wheel, so I conscientiously walked out of the hospital room. At this moment, I happened to see a familiar figure, Su Taoya's back. So, I walked up and greeted them. Su Taoya was taken aback when he saw it was me. She then politely asked, "Hello, Mr. Chung. Why are you here at the hospital? Are you visiting a friend?" "Yes, recently something happened. A friend got injured." At that moment, I suddenly thought of the little girl. Then I asked seriously, "Dr. Su, both you and your sister are famous ophthalmologists. Have you ever heard of people who can see things without opening their eyes?" Everyone, take a break, drink some water, subscribe to the channel. Good, let's continue. Have you ever seen without opening your eyes? Can people see things without opening their eyes? Upon hearing this question, Su Taoyao couldn't help but freeze for a moment. Later, she brought me to a window and asked me to close my eyes and face the sun. I followed her instructions and closed my eyes as told. I didn't expect that I actually saw the hand Su Taoyao placed in front of my eyes. She asked me if I had encountered anything strange recently. I was first stunned for a moment. Then I explained to her what had happened. Later, Su Taoyao told me about a few methods to see things without having to open their eyes, such as cranial surgery, which was a common superstition in ancient times. In the West, it is called trepanation, a practice that is said to make oneself intelligent through opening the wisdom. In the East, we also have similar practices, like opening a hole on the top of the head, said to be called heavenly eye, which can see the future in spirits. Taoists believe that it is the heaven's eye in the Naiwan Palace. As soon as I hear about trepanation and seeing ghosts, I instantly feel a headache. Our cultural knowledge is low, and we can't keep up. Is it really necessary to listen? So, I decided to go over and see what's going on tonight first, and then ask when I come back. But Su Taoyao became interested and asked me to tell her the time and place. She wanted to go later too. I was a bit helpless, but still told her the location. In the evening, I brought Zhao, the half-immortal, and Miao Qianqian to stake out where Zhang Mutian lived. At the moment the little girl appeared, I planned to stop her. Unexpectedly, the little girl suddenly turned her head, closed her eyes, looked at me, and let out a low growl like a wild beast. Then she fiercely bumped into my arms. Despite her small size, the force was indeed strong. After knocking me down, she turned her head and ran away. Miao Qianqian took the stun gun and chased after her. At this moment, a small car suddenly drove up and turned on its high-beam headlights. The dazzling light shone on the little girl's face. The little girl seems to be very scared of the bright light. She closed her eyes and tried hard to shield it with her hands. Miao Qianqian took the opportunity to stun her with electricity and brought her to the store. I looked at the fainted little girl, Su Taoyao, who looked confident and said, "My guess was correct. This monster is indeed sensitive to bright light." I blocked the alley with high beams on, hitting Zhao, the half-immortal. He was a bit curious about the peculiarities of the little girl's eyes. Opened the little girl's eyelids for a look and surprisingly found two pupils inside. This is the innate twin pupils. In physiognomy, twin pupils are considered a phenomenon and a symbol of emperors. It is said that Emperor Shun, He Jimin King Xiangyu, Sangjia, and Emperor Liu of Southern Tang all had the unique phenomenon of twin pupils, which is believed to indicate greatness. The naturally born holy person Zhao and the half-immortal were so frightened that they hurriedly stepped back. However, Su Taoyao calmly stated, "It's not as exaggerated as you think. Innate twin pupils, scientifically speaking, are a form of adherent distortion. Heterochromia iridium is a type of probabilistic genetic disorder." At this moment, the little girl who was shocked woke up. She began to shout and scream, asking, "Where am I?" I crouched down and asked tentatively, "Little sister, can you see me?" The little girl, with her eyes tightly shut in fear, weakly asked, "Who are you? Why are you trying to catch little Azure?" "Your name is Little Azure, right? Let me ask you, what's wrong with your eyes? Where do you come from?" "Eyes are our family's inherited skill, able to see ghosts and dirty things. I can see things with my eyes closed because we have been applying a special potion on our eyelids since childhood, making them thinner." Upon hearing this, before I had a chance to say anything, Su Taoyao behind me already excitedly came closer and asked, "Can ordinary people cultivate the yin-yang eyes? How is the potion that makes the eyelids thinner prepared?" Seeing her like this, I turned my head and sarcastically said, "Miss Su, do you have some twisted thoughts in your heart again?" And little Azure lowered her head timidly, replying, "I don't know how to mix the potion. That's unique to my family. It needs to be applied since childhood. Also, to open the yin-yang eyes, you must first see the darkness. The place I came from is very far away from here. We are the Wulu clan. People from our side have to open their eyes. First, they need to be locked in a sealed dark room. It's uncertain how long the door should be closed. It all depends on individual talent. When we see enough darkness, the boundary between yin and yang will be broken. I opened my yin-yang eyes on the 13th day. From now on, I no longer need to open my eyes to see the world. I can see those spirits and dirty things very clearly. My mother is the shaman priestess in the village. One day, while she was performing a ritual to the heavens, she suddenly said that our clan, the Wulu clan, has been abandoned by Newmanhwa, the world mother. From today onwards, no one in our village will be born, and no one will die. At that time, I didn't understand what my mother's words meant. But later, I realized that even if I understood everything, I wouldn't be able to change anything. That night, my mother committed suicide. The next day, there was heavy rain, causing a landslide that blocked the village's only exit. Everyone was trapped, no one could get out, and no one could come in. Due to food shortages, people in the village started fighting with weapons. Everyone was so desperate that they not only fought for food. Some people even started cannibalism. My mother named me as the next shaman before she died. My sister, Little Jade, and other tribespeople who followed my mother locked me in the house to protect me and prevent me from going out. My sister said she would find food for me so that I wouldn't starve. Every day, she is able to bring back some meat for me. At that time, I found it strange why there were no vegetables, but I was too hungry to care much. Gradually, there were fewer and fewer of us, and my sister had more and more wounds on her body. Finally, one day, only I was left. The village seemed to have regained peace. Everyone except my mother had returned. There was no more fighting in the village. At that moment, I finally understood what my mother meant when she said that no one was born and no one died. Everyone had turned into wandering souls, unable to be reincarnated or perish. My sister said to me, "Eat me up, little Azure. From then on, you are the cemetery of our entire village, and you are our gravekeeper." It was also from that day onwards. I became the cemetery and gravekeeper of the Wulu clan. Later, I escaped from the village alone, wandered around, and unknowingly ended up here. Hearing this, Zhao, the half-immortal, couldn't help but take a deep breath. The little girl in front of him turned out to be the guardian of a village's grave. No wonder she was so powerful. Alright, the story of Yin Tattoo Master Part 3 ends here. Stay tuned for Part 4. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you for your support. Many families have inherited treasures, but have you ever heard of the tradition of passing down the skull from generation to generation? I asked little Azure why he licks that person's skull. I didn't expect little Azure to say that the man is also a guardian of the tomb. He is a mobile graveyard with many, many ancestors floating around him. So, I opened his skull and ate up all the ancestors in his brain. Upon hearing this, Miao Qianqian and I looked puzzled. His ancestors are actually in his brain. At this moment, Zhao, the half-immortal, who was standing beside us, provided an explanation. I have heard that some families with unsuccessful fortunes would use an evil curse to turn their skull into a spiritual tablet, inviting the Yin spirits of their ancestors from generations past to reside inside it, for ancestral blessings. And each eldest son from generation to generation must remove their own skull and replace it with that ancestral skull's spiritual tablet. Throughout the generations, they share a single piece of skull with all ancestors enshrined in it, ensuring good fortune for the family. However, these secrets are typically only known by the eldest son. Zhang Mutian is likely unaware of this. Now that the ancestral souls have been consumed, she says the family's fortune has been devoured as well. After listening to Zhao, the half-immortal's explanation, I now understand it myself. It's like she dug up someone else's ancestral grave, which is an unforgivable act considered extremely unethical. Little Azure, on the other hand, shrugged and said, "Little Azure is not unethical at all. That man was actually doing some outrageous things behind the scenes. The stinky tofu chain he opened was soaked in sewage water. I couldn't overlook it, so I consumed his Yin spirit." Upon hearing this, Miao Qianqian and Su Taoyao both felt nauseous and said they would never eat stinky tofu again in the future. Zhao, the half-immortal, also stated that telling little Azure to eat Yin spirit, an ancestor of his family, was deserved punishment for him. With the protection of ancestors, but not doing righteous deeds, it is unbearable by the heavens. Little Azure can be considered as enforcing justice for the heavens. In this case, it seems that Zhang Mutian's elder brother will not be in life-threatening danger. However, I still need to warn her not to do bad deeds again. As for the skull passed down from ancestors, it can only be cultivated again in their generation. But these are not the main points. Little Azure, if you can eat Yin spirit, can you also eat evil spirits? No, I got a stomachache from eating evil spirits. Little Azure does not eat evil spirits. Upon receiving this response, I couldn't help but sigh. But thinking about it, it makes sense. Rare evil spirits like Shenlei are not something a little girl can digest. It seems I will have to find another solution. Then I helped little Azure untie while apologizing. We were too reckless just now and almost hurt you. We apologize to you. Also, you are not safe elsewhere. You should stay here with us in the future. We will take care of you. Upon hearing this, little Azure smiled and said, Okay. Will you give me delicious food? I've seen it. Inchi, you have the most delicious food around you. At the mention of this, I instantly felt chills down my spine, and my whole body felt unwell. Afterward, I instructed Zhang Mutian to have her brother terminate the business of selling stinky tofu with sewage to save his life. Zhang Mutian was very flustered and naturally agreed to it. Of course, I kept the part about concealing the spiritual charm hidden. Little Azure is very skilled but lacks worldly experience. Running around recklessly could easily cause trouble. So I left her in the shop to live with us. Having such a powerful dark path expert as a partner is something that is hard to come by. Dangerous ghost flying in the sky, lantern murder evil art floating head hex. A woman rushed into my shop in a panic today, saying she was being chased by someone using the most terrifying floating head hex. The woman's name is Yin Mei. She is of Central African descent and works as a brewer of snake bone wine. She usually needs to hire people to catch snakes in northeast China. She had some conflicts with the villagers there recently, which may have attracted unwanted attention. When I heard that she catches snakes in northeast China, I frowned. In some places in northeast China, snakes are regarded as one of the 5 animal immortals. They believe that snakes are spiritual beings, known as snake immortal or green dragon bodhisattva. This woman is obviously crossing a taboo. But Inmei hesitated and mumbled. We usually negotiate with the villagers in advance. We also go to specific places to catch snakes without touching their heads. Normally, we don't disturb the villagers, but that time, we accidentally killed a snake immortal worshipped by someone in their home. But we have already apologized and compensated. It shouldn't come to a death penalty, right? Mr. Chung, you must save me. I haven't been able to sleep for several nights. The floating head hex comes to me every night after midnight. Fortunately, there is a bodhisattva statue in my house, so the head cannot enter. But I don't think the bodhisattva can hold on much longer. I'm going crazy too. Saving one life surpasses building a 7-story pagoda. I beg you to save me. Not saving someone in danger is equivalent to murder. 80% of the money I earned has been donated to impoverished children in Africa. I don't deserve to die for my sins. I face Inmei's plea. I've thought about it. By Little Snow's life hangs in the balance. Logically, we shouldn't complicate matters. However, there is currently no way to save By Little Snow. Let's focus on saving those we can help right now. So I asked her to send me the address, and we will go there tonight to check on her. After I send him away again, I turned around and asked Little Azure if she knew about floating head hex, while Little Azure was munching on something. She turned her head and said that floating head hex seemed to have been mentioned by my sister before, and it's quite popular in the Miao region. Our family practices shamanism, and there has been some communication with them. Floating head hex seems to have explained the principles to me before. The so-called floating head hex is actually the human skin lantern. To perform the floating head hex, you first need a head. However, a human head is too heavy to fly, so you have to carefully scoop out the brain and flesh inside with a spoon, then grind the skull thin to reduce weight. The processed human head needs to be soaked in a special potion for 49 days. But because the success rate is very low, usually 7 or 8 heads need to be soaked at the same time to succeed. Then dry the human heads. The thin skull inside becomes the frame of the lantern, and the outer skin becomes extremely strong and serves as the lantern's cover. The last and most important step is the final crafting process. Inject the soul of the person who was originally killed back into the human head lantern, and only when the vengeful spirit flies and the lantern can kill people in the floating head hex, the process is considered complete. Therefore, every Dark Curse master who plays the floating head hex, they are all skilled lantern masters. I asked Little Azure if this floating head hex had any weaknesses, and how we should crack it. Little Azure said that if you want to talk about weaknesses, the Dark Curse master is not well guarded when controlling the floating head hex, but they usually hide their true self and are hard to find. Upon hearing this, Miao Qianqian immediately stood up and laughed, saying, "You should have said so earlier. I was so scared of the floating head hex. How can I not handle an unarmed and unprepared person? I will electrocute the guy to death. That's settled." You deal with the floating head hex, I will take care of the dark curse master, and we split the money 50-50. Seeing her like this, I couldn't help but sigh in my heart. A woman who values money over her life is truly terrifying. At this moment, little Azure suggested, "Brother, don't you have a Yin artifact walnut? I can hide at a safe distance, guaranteed not to be discovered, use my supervision to aim, and shoot the floating head hex down with a slingshot." I felt that this method was trustworthy as soon as I heard it, so I immediately agreed. I also gave her a big thumbs up. But little Azure let out a sigh. Floating head hex will not show up for no reason. I need someone to lure him out. Seeing Miao Qianqian and little Azure grinning evilly at me, I knew they were plotting against me. But since they both have schemes, I'll reluctantly be the bait. Although I have a feeling that I'll be tricked. Later we arrived at the warehouse where Yin was located. I saw her chop off the snake's head with one stroke, splitting it in half. She reached out and pulled out the entrails. The whole process was done in one go. After fermenting the wine, she turned slightly embarrassed and said, "I didn't finish some work during the day, so I had to invite you to the warehouse first. It's a bit unsightly for you to see all this." I said it's okay. Just act as usual. If we were to intrude into your home recklessly, we might be noticed by the other party. Anyway, you go back home first, we'll be waiting nearby. Then I turned and walked out of the warehouse, ready to meet this dark curse master. Everything is ready. Miao Qianqian has gone to find the dark curse master. Next, it's up to me and little Azure. I waved to little Azure on the rooftop. I should be visible to little Azure from this distance. A person's head floated over not far away. Seeing the target appear, I picked up a stone and threw it over. With a bang, it hit the head. The head only paused for a moment. It turned its head and pounced towards me. I was also quite scared by the appearance of this flying head. I turned and ran as fast as I could. I shouted for little Azure to hurry. The next second, a walnut shot down. But it was easily dodged by Fei too. Seeing this scene, I feel it's over. There's only one chance. Am I really going to be in trouble this time? At this moment, another walnut was shot. The walnut flew head-on and pierced straight through. The entire skull exploded like a watermelon. Hair and shattered bones were scattered all over the floor. I took a deep breath to calm down. I looked at the two walnuts on the ground and suddenly understood. The first time was just a test. The second time was the real deal. Spirit artifact little Azure, this little spiritual creature is indeed reliable. So I stood up and gave a thumbs up to little Azure on the rooftop. Little Azure also smiled proudly. But the next second, she suddenly looked terrified and pointed behind me. I turned around to look. I looked and darn it, it turned out to be another severed head with a piece of paper in its mouth. I quickly took a few steps back, thinking that a walnut might offer some temporary protection. However, without the high penetrating power brought by long-range sniping, I probably can't break through it. Am I really done for this time? Just as I confronted the flying head, little Azure shouted for me to hold on as she descended immediately. Unexpectedly, at that moment, the flying head suddenly opened its mouth and let go of the piece of paper it held in its mouth. Written on top was the bold question. "May I ask which colleague this is?" "You dare to ruin Mr. Hua's business. Believe it or not, I will use some tricks. Tonight, you will undoubtedly die." As soon as I saw that I met a peer, I knew that this time it was going to be troublesome. Just as I was getting ready to face a tough battle, this troublemaker actually flew away. Could it be that it just came over to say hello? But things are definitely not that simple. Since Dark Curse Master can come provoke us, it means he's fine. If he's fine, then Miao Qianqian must be in trouble. Sure enough, the next second I received a distress message from Miao Qianqian. She's been tied up by that Dark Curse Master, and is now at Yin Mei's house. Received the message, and little Azure and I immediately rushed to Yin Mei's house. But there seems to be no one here. Neither Dark Curse Master nor Yin Mei is here. But screams for help from Miao Qianqian can be heard in the room. Little Azure and I followed the sound and found the room. At this moment, Little Azure seemed to perceive something and suddenly said, "Brother, you go save Sister Qian. Little Azure is hungry. I'll go inside and eat the evil spirits on her bodhisattva first." I nodded and let her go. After all, Little Azure could become stronger after eating those evil spirits. Later, I found Miao Qianqian tied up under the bed. I helped her untie the ropes. At this moment, the door suddenly opened and someone came in. Miao Qianqian and I hurriedly hid under the bed. When I looked up, I found that it was Yin Mei. I couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. But just as I was about to go out, Miao Qianqian stopped me and asked me to wait. "There is one more person." I and Miao Qianqian were lying under the bed and saw Yin Mei being intimate with a man. I couldn't help but comment. Being chased by floating head hex, but still in the mood for this. This girl sure is bold. The key is we still don't know why we were hiding under someone's bed to peek. Now things are awkward. But gradually things went awry. The man on the bed suddenly let out a scream. What was that? How come there's a face with teeth under you? Suddenly a piranha appeared and split the man's cucumber in half. Then, with the disappearance of the screams, the man died on the bed. Miao Qianqian and I hid under the bed. Although we didn't know what had happened, we were covered in cold sweat. The Dark Curse Master tied Miao Qianqian here, and even gave Qianqian a chance to contact us with her phone to make us come here. It's probably to let us discover the secret of Yin Mei. Little Azure in the opposite room made a shushing gesture to me at that time. I nodded and then pointed to Little Azure in the opposite room to signal Miao Qianqian to observe quietly and not act rashly. Unexpectedly, Yin Mei suddenly lowered her head at this moment. This startled both of us. Shortly after, Miao Qianqian and I were tied up by her. Yin Mei calmly said, "After finishing up just now, I saw a note pasted outside the house saying there were people inside. It turns out it was the two of you. I thought we were friends, but you actually spied on my secrets." Hearing this, I quickly expressed that I also work for Darkpath. I can understand that you use your evil curse to punish bad men and castrate them. I fully support it. But Yin Mei gave a cold smile. "Do you think I would believe you? Since you saw it, don't blame me. You saw the fate of that man just now. You will end up like him." Hearing these words, I panicked immediately. I subconsciously clenched my legs together. Please spare us. My dear, we helped you. Let us go. From now on, we'll go our separate ways and won't interfere with each other." At this moment, Miao Qianqian also noticed the strangeness below Yin Mei and asked with some confusion, "What's that thing under you?" Yin Mei smiled faintly and said, "This thing? This is the Yin Tooth. Have you heard of it before?" Upon hearing the term, Yin Tooth, I recalled related legends I had heard before. Those Yin Tooth witches are enchanting and seductive, lure men, then use their Yin Tooth to bite off their private parts and consume them, which is extremely cruel. Thinking about this, I couldn't help but gasp. I then stated that I had heard of it, but why would you bring this up? Yin Mei gave a faint smile. "Mr. Chung, do you still remember my identity?" Before I could say anything, Miao Qianqian figured it out. "You mentioned that you are of Chinese and African descent. You come from an ancient tribe in Africa. You have undergone circumcision, so you are seeking revenge on society. You guessed right, but only half right. In many parts of Africa, female genital mutilation is still prevalent. People cut off girls' genital organs, stitch up the wounds, and leave only a tiny hole as small as a matchstick. The purpose of FGM is to provide men with a reliable method to verify the virginity of a bride. However, women have to endure the pain of wound tearing, healing, and tearing again repeatedly. The cycle continues like this. However, female genital mutilation is just the foundation of this evil curse. Several years ago, I met an Amerindian shaman. It was from that moment that I became a witch with a Yin Tooth. This evil curse bears some resemblance to Mr. Cheng's ghost tattoo. However, we use branding irons instead. She attached the soul of a cannibalistic mermaid to the branding iron. Once branded with the cannibalistic mermaid on the lower body, the ritual will be complete. The ascetic rules of primitive religion consider the presence of a vagina between a woman's legs as something that leads men astray. They believe women should not have an interest in sex, which is the basis of chastity. It is because of these foolish ideas that my life has been ruined. So I want those men to also experience what it's like to have their genitals cut off. Is Mr. Chung interested in me? I feel terrible hearing her say that. Fortunately, at this moment, Miao Qianqian delivered a straight kick to her, sending her flying out. But this kick did not cause any harm to her. Yin Mei slowly stood up. Her whole body is filled with Yin energy. She walked towards us again. At this moment, little Azure hiding behind the door shot out the walnut. The walnut shot straight into her legs. Yin Mei let out a painful cry. Upon seeing this, I immediately shouted, "Little Azure, the branding iron formation on her lower body has been broken, leaving only a Yin spirit of a man-eating fish. Take care of her now." Upon hearing this, little Azure immediately broke in, smashing the door with a single slap. But Yin Mei also summoned the man-eating fish Yin spirit. Just as the two were fighting, I took the opportunity to untie the ropes on my hands. I also helped Miao Qianqian loosen her restraints. But at this point, little Azure could no longer hold on. Although she is the guardian of the village's graves, she is still too young and lacks combat experience, eager to prove herself. She was ultimately overbearing in dealing with Yin Mei, who had been consuming essence and blood for many years. Yin Mei was seen grabbing little Azure by the neck. I picked up a chair nearby and smashed it on her. Little Azure then broke free from her grasp. Just as all her attention was focused on the two of us, Miao Qianqian took the opportunity to sneak up from behind and press the stun gun against her, giving her a chilling shock. But Yin Mei's skin is really thick. She toughed out the electric shock for a moment. She surprisingly had no reaction at all. She struck back and knocked down Miao Qianqian. At this moment, little Azure picked up the bell from the ground again. She pressed it firmly against her waist. In this way, we continuously attack her from 3 directions, depleting her energy. Soon she was cornered by us, but just then, a flying head suddenly broke through the window. A flying head quickly fit onto Yin Mei's head. She tried to pull the head out, but it was tightly embedded in her head. The Yin spirit inside crazily sucked on her head, and gradually blood began to flow down her neck. With a snap, the head separated, and Yin Mei died just like that. After killing her, the flying head did not linger and flew away directly. I watched this cruel scene, and it took me a long time to come to my senses. But this is after all a place of right and wrong. I asked Miao Qianqian to call Zhang Tianing and have Sir Zhang come to handle it. Miao Qianqian nodded. She suddenly saw a letter pinned behind the door. It was written in large letters on it. "The job of killing is completed. Our grudges have not been settled yet. I will visit you another day." After reading the content of this letter, I also feel somewhat helpless. Not only did I fail to make any money this time, I almost lost my life, and I also offended a dark curse master. Truly a losing deal. In 3 days, by little Snow won't be able to suppress Chen-Lei's evil spirit anymore. But in these past few days, I haven't found a good solution to the situation. Next, I talked to little Azure about the origins of Chen-Lei's evil spirit and the current dilemma of not having found a solution yet. There are 3 spirit-infused tattoos here. They are Zhong Kuei kicking Baku dream eating, and the one just brought back from Miao Qianqian. Each one is full of immense ghostly power. I once thought about finding someone with a strong destiny to shoulder these 3 spirit-infused tattoos to suppress Chen-Lei, but the only candidate, by little Snow, is already too busy to spare a moment. After hearing the whole story, little Azure pointed at himself and said, "Isn't there a person with a strong destiny right in front of you?" Last night in the room of that strange Aunt Yin Mei, I devoured all the evil spirits on the Guanyin statue she worshipped, as well as the power of the witch ghosts from our entire Wulu clan. I should be able to handle these 3 drawings. But these 3 spirit-infused tattoos had never been tried in our lineage before. I'm worried that you might get into trouble. It's okay. Even though the method is a bit rough, but you took in Little Azure, and you said if you can't suppress Chunlei, all of you will die. With Little Azure's home gone, Little Azure doesn't want to lose Brother Yu, and doesn't want to lose another home. I was actually quite moved when she said this. I didn't expect that Little Azure suddenly started drooling, saying that as long as I can eat all the evil spirits on this afterward, it's fine. When I heard this, I was momentarily stunned. So it turns out you did it for this reason. The next day, Little Azure hid in the house, and used their witchcraft powers to sew 3 spirit-infused tattoos together. She made it into a cloak. Next, we are going to save by Little Snow. I rode my beloved small motorcycle. Soon, I arrived at the school with Little Azure. As soon as we arrived in the area, Little Azure felt the horror of this place. I touched her head to comfort her, and told her not to be afraid. We also have a powerful sister with strong magical abilities here. You will be fine. Later, we arrived at the locust tree. By Little Snow has been staying here for 5 days. She can't hold on much longer. She asked if I found a solution. If Chunlei can't control his resentment, we will all die. I brought Little Azure over and introduced her. Among all the people I've met, she is probably the only one who can match you. By Little Snow turned to look at Little Azure, and immediately noticed her extraordinary aura. She said that this girl is carrying the burdens and grudges of many people on her shoulders. Such a young age, and not simple at all. It seems she has also gone through the ordeal of the human world in the past. Seeing this, I no longer hesitated and immediately took off the spirit-infused tattoo cloak from my back. I put it on Little Azure. Everything is ready. Little Azure is standing in front of the tree. By Little Snow is casting a spell and chanting an incantation. A formation is being formed beneath Little Azure. She is facing the rage-filled fiend spirit Chunlei. Little Azure is not afraid, murmuring with her eyes closed. The spirit of the Wulu clan. Come out, Yogwai, exterminate demons, save all beings in an instant. The Yin spirit inside Little Azure seemed to be summoned. Fly out together. Seeing this scene, even by Little Snow couldn't help but sigh. It is truly extraordinary to have a person with such strong demonic power driving the ultimate Yin artifact composed of 3 spirit-infused tattoos. But Chunlei's fiend spirit is still too powerful. Even when facing the numerous heroic souls of the Wulu clan, he is still unmatched. I wanted to help when I saw Little Azure in pain, but by Little Snow stopped me. By Little Snow said he wants to suppress this fiend spirit without causing harm, which is undoubtedly wishful thinking. We are already powerless. Do not disturb her. Now I can only hope that Little Azure can hold on. Suddenly Little Azure opened twin pupils, burning my soul and giving me ghostly power. Gather the heroic power of the Wulu clan. Coordinate with the formation of the 3 ghost tattoos, and by Little Snow. Entrap Chunlei's fiend spirit in the formation, and gradually the situation began to reverse. Chunlei's fiend spirit let out a wail. In the end, it was completely annihilated and disappeared without a trace. Little Azure also fainted due to exhaustion. I quickly rushed up and held her in my arms. Looking at Chunlei, who has already regained consciousness, I asked her, now that she is back in the cycle of reincarnation, if she has any last words. Chunlei shed tears as she spoke her final words. Chungyu, you are a good person. Many years ago, you saved my life, although unintentionally pushing me into a deeper hell. But I don't blame you. This time, you have saved me again. I am finally free. In this life, I can't repay you. If we meet again in the cycle of reincarnation, I will be an ox or a horse for you in the next life. Goodbye. I've left my last words. Leichen can rest assured. This matter finally has a satisfactory conclusion. By Little Snow looked at me with some profound meaning and said, I didn't misjudge you. Old Master Chang's descendant still has some potential. When I heard that she had met my grandfather, I turned to her and asked her what was going on. I didn't expect By Little Snow to say, When I was young, your grandfather took us to learn from a great master. Your father was there too, following as an apprentice. Back then, he was a handsome young man in his 20s, very charming and decisive. Upon hearing that she had also met my father, I was originally planning to continue asking further. But By Little Snow just waved her hand and said, Your father is dead, just as your grandfather said. It's better for you not to know about his matters. This place is not suitable for a long stay. Let's go. The matter between Chen Lei and Zhang Shun has finally come to a close. The sun rises every day as usual, and the world remains cruel. Now it seems that I can survive to protect the important people and things in my life. This is already my greatest fortune. A healer acclaimed for magical healing powers, who is highly praised by everyone, actually came to my tattoo shop today. This is truly a rare occurrence. He is called Cheng Huako, and he is colleagues with Su Taoyao. He also heard from Su Taoyao that I can do things that ordinary people cannot do, which is why he came. As soon as I heard that it was the crazy female doctor who introduced him, I had a sense of foreboding. At this moment, Little Azure whispered in my ear, There are many white Yin spirits surrounding this uncle. He is a great person filled with positive energy. My sister said that there are vengeful spirits surrounded by evil butchers, while only truly kind-hearted people who do good deeds will be blessed with so many kind Yin spirits. I nodded to indicate that I understood. I turned to ask Cheng Huako if there was anything he needed. Cheng Huako hesitated for a while before slowly saying, Do you have a type of evil curse here that can allow people to share sensory experiences? For example, if one person feels pain, I can also feel it. I am puzzled by such a request, and asked him why he wanted to obtain sensory sharing to feel the pain of others. Cheng Huako's tears suddenly burst out of his eyes, and he said with a sad face, 3 months ago, due to a misdiagnosis, I killed my own wife. I have been scared ever since, afraid that I will make a mistake again and kill someone else. So, I hope you can help me feel the pain of the patients. If I can clearly understand where the patient is hurting, where the lesion is, then I will never misdiagnose. As for that kind of pain, I can endure it. Upon hearing his words, I also understood his meaning. I have the relevant skills. I believe he can endure the pain, but I will not take on this business. Because the requirements of this skill are too demanding, it requires the souls of a pair of twins. We cannot kill people just to obtain their souls, right? Where can we find a pair of just deceased twins? When I said this, I felt that he might also find it difficult to proceed. I didn't expect that Cheng Huako would be excited and said, As luck would have it, this morning there was a pregnant woman who had difficulties giving birth at the hospital. A pair of twins were born and died due to lack of oxygen. What do you think about this? But the moment he said those words, he felt something was wrong. 2 babies died. Why did he feel a moment of joy? He is a doctor who saves lives. He even doubted if he was going crazy. Hearing about such a coincidence, I can't help but have some doubts. I asked him if he was serious, while also thinking, according to Little Azure's words, this doctor should undoubtedly be a kind person. If it's really such a coincidence, I can give him a tattoo. In the future, if he can save more people, it can be considered a merit. Cheng Huako firmly stated, Of course, the people who died in the hospital are all documented. You can have someone check. And how could I have known in advance that I would need the souls of a pair of twins? This is a coincidence. You've helped me, and in the future, I'll be able to help more people. I sighed and agreed to his affirmative reply, letting him figure out a way to bring the bodies of the babies over and then sneakily put them back later at night. Soon, Cheng Huako brought the bodies of the babies over. Everything is ready. Tattooing begins. The spirit-infused tattoo this time is called the conjoined heart knot, originally a symbol of love that represents incomparable loyalty and love, sharing blessings, and enduring the same pain. After it is inked, as long as you touch each other with your hands, you can sense each other's feelings. You have to endure half of each other's pain. This is why it's called the conjoined heart. I explained the effect of the spirit-infused tattoo to Chung Huako and asked him to think it over. Chung Huako expressed resolutely, "I am willing to bear the suffering of all beings." Since he had no problem, the tattoo officially began. Time flies, and the conjoined heart not spirit-infused tattoo was quickly completed. The progress of this tattoo went very smoothly, but I couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy. Do you know a doctor who can feel patients' pain? How high can his efficiency in treating patients be? After he finishes tattooing the conjoined heart not spirit-infused tattoo, Chung Huako starts seeing patients at the hospital as usual. The first patient, who comes and complains of feeling very painful all over and doesn't know the reason. Chung Huako tells him not to worry, asks him to sit down, and checks his pulse first before saying anything. The moment he touched the patient, Chung Huako felt a stabbing pain in his stomach the moment he touched the patient. The patient noticed his unpleasant expression. The patient quickly asked what was wrong. Chung Huako didn't explain, but handed him the diagnosis, asking him to go for a gastroscopy as soon as possible. Maybe it's a stomach perforation. Upon seeing Chung Huako, he made a diagnosis in less than 3 seconds. The patient felt like he was being fooled, but still left with a diagnosis in hand. It's then the next patient's turn. The patient is a child. Chung Huako took the pulse for a moment. He felt the pain in his throat, so he waved his hand and asked the child's father to hurry to get an X-ray. Something seems to be stuck in the throat, possibly due to accidentally swallowing something. The doctor quickly made a diagnosis. Even though the father of the child was somewhat skeptical, he still left with the child. When they saw 2 patients leaving quickly one after another, the other patients waiting outside began to gossip. Some said Chung Huako was confused, while others said his way of making money was unseemly. And at this moment, Chung Huako in the consultation room was already sweating profusely. He did not expect the 2 patients to be so critical, but more importantly, it seemed that the patients were unwilling to believe such a diagnostic result. However, soon the father of the child excitedly rushed in and said, "Dr. Chung, you really are a living deity. My child accidentally swallowed a fishbone while I wasn't paying attention. It was clearly visible on the X-ray. And the first patient you just examined indeed had a stomach perforation after undergoing a colonoscopy. You are truly amazing. Thank you, Chung Huako, for your expertise." Seeing the excited expression on the patient's face, you also smiled with relief. Now he will never misdiagnose himself again. And the patients outside the door, seeing this scene, also became eager and enthusiastic. Chung Huako, of course, welcomes everyone. He asked them to come in one by one. Don't rush. Just like that, one morning passed quickly. He took pulses from about 100 people, diagnosed each one accurately, and not a single misdiagnosis. But his body gradually started to feel no pain. It seems that the pain he endured exceeded the threshold of his nervous system, leading to excessive sedation of the body. But he didn't mind at all. He felt better this way. This way, he can treat more patients. But as he was taking the pulse of the next patient, he simply touched the patient lightly. The person began to spit out fresh blood and fell down. A living person unexpectedly died like that. The nurse on the side quickly helped him up and said, "The cause of the illness still needs to be investigated. Perhaps it was a sudden heart attack. Anyway, Dr. Chung, please continue to treat the patients and don't delay others. I will handle this matter first." Chung Huako saw a healthy person die suddenly and couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat. But he still decided to continue seeking medical treatment. At this point, some greenish mucus had appeared on his hands. The moment he touched the patient, the other person collapsed with a slap. Died on the spot. The other patients who saw this scene, they were all startled. Chung Huako wants to explain. But at this time, green slime had already covered his entire body. Patients saw him turn like this, shouting, "Monster!" He caught one of them, wanting to ask for the reason. But he just grabbed him. The man also died on the spot like the previous two. Seeing another person dead, the patients began to flee in all directions, yelling that Dr. Chung had killed someone, the hand of death. Whoever he touches dies. Run quickly. Chung Huako dragged his heavy body. He looked in the mirror and found that he had turned into a monster. The next day, I saw news reports about Chung Huako on my phone. Chung Huako, known as the saintly physician, saw over 100 patients in the morning without making a single misdiagnosis. At first, I was happy for him. But the following reports made me somewhat worried. 3 people died inexplicably. Dr. Chung went missing. How could he be a great doctor 1 second and then disappear the next? At this moment, I suddenly heard someone calling me at the door. Turning my head, I saw that it was Su Taoyao. Seeing that there was no one else inside the room, Su Taoyao waved his hand towards the person behind him, signaling them to come in. Immediately after, a person with green slime on their foot and a foul smell emanating from their body walked in. Seeing the man's appearance, we were all startled. But when he spoke, I was stunned. This voice is Chung Huako. How could he have changed like this? Su Taoyao replied as he busily closed the door. I'm not sure why he became like this either. He only said that whoever he touches now will die, and his body is also rotting. We barely managed to escape from the hospital, and now no one knows he is here. Chung Huako said with difficulty. I feel like every cell in my body is dying. These so-called hands of a saint have now become hands of death. Whoever they touch will die. Seeing him change like this, I instantly understood the conjoined heart not spirit-infused tattoo. Shared perception, shared pain. But he treated over 100 patients in one morning. The accumulation of suffering from them led to this situation. Just as I was pondering what to do, Zhao, the half-immortal, suddenly made a startling statement. This situation is the 5 decays of the Deva. You are transcending the tribulation and on your way to becoming an immortal. This man was treating 100 patients without making a single misdiagnosis just a moment ago. His hands are those of a saint. The next moment, his hands turned into the hands of a grim reaper that brings death upon touch. Zhao, the half-immortal, also said that he is undergoing the 5 decays of the Deva to transcend the calamity. He is about to become immortal soon. According to legend, practicing Taoism leads to immortality. The 5 decays of the Deva are only for the saints with great cultivation and great wisdom. The 5 calamities they must experience before achieving enlightenment and becoming immortals. That's probably what Chung Huako looks like now. The sages feel the changes of nature, empathize with the sufferings of sentient beings, and embrace the tribulations. During this process, the body is covered in filth and emits a foul odor, resembling a lifeless aura. If someone comes into contact with a sage going through this tribulation, they will be infected by the aura of decay and perish on the spot. Cannot survive the 5 decays of the Deva. If the saints die out, if you can survive this calamity, you will be able to ascend to immortality in broad daylight and become a celestial being. According to the ancients, understanding immortality starts with understanding death. Only by comprehending death can one truly understand life. He is like a dead person now. Can he see through life and death, come back to life, and attain immortality? Let's continue to observe. Regarding the explanation of Zhao, the half-immortal, although Su Taoyao did not understand, from a scientific perspective, she believes that if one surpasses the human pain threshold and transcends death, cells and genes may break down. If one manages to endure, they may evolve into some kind of monster. Chung Huako tore off his falling facial skin while saying, I never expected that my life of doing good would end up like this. Now, all the pain has awakened and rages within my body. I never thought of becoming immortal, but I fear that after I die, I will become a vengeful evil spirit. Upon hearing this, Zhao, the half-immortal, solemnly said, "You don't need to worry about that. Legend has it that the 5 decays of the Deva, everything will decay. It's not just the body that cannot withstand the test. Even the soul will turn to ashes and smoke, dissipating into thin air. In this way, I can feel at ease. Even though all my organs are in pain right now, pain to the point of death, I can finally die, putting an end to everything." Seeing Cheng Huako in such pain, Zhao, the half-immortal, felt a bit unable to bear it and asked if I could try to think of a way to help him get through this tribulation. I want to help, but I am also powerless. At this moment, Little Azure walked out wearing that spirit-infused tattoo cape and said, "I'll give it a try. I can help share Uncle Cheng's pain, alleviate his transformative suffering, and allow him to retain some strength and will to fight against this disaster. I'm still very worried about Cheng Huako, who is now at the mercy of death. Little Azure, who is sensible in front of me, may be in danger by doing so." But Little Azure firmly stated, "There is a complete spirit of the Wulu clan protecting my body. The soul is 100 times stronger than an ordinary person's and won't be easily killed." However, Cheng Huako did not want anyone to sacrifice for him anymore. He told Little Azure not to force it. Maybe his death would be the best ending. But Little Azure firmly said, "No! You are a good person. Little Azure wanted to save you." After saying this, Little Azure resolutely grasped the hand of the Grim Reaper, Cheng Huako, without hesitation. The next second, the aura of decay began to spread on her face. Cheng Huako couldn't bear to see her in pain. He immediately let go of her hand and said, "Forget it. You don't have to make these pointless sacrifices. I feel warmed by your kindness. I have traveled through this world, and it's been very worthwhile. Goodbye everyone, thank you all." As Cheng Huako finished speaking, his body began to gradually disintegrate. The whole person started to melt gradually. In the end, he turned into a puddle of green liquid. He ultimately did not transcend the 5 decays of the Deva. The next day, Miao Qianqian and I saw the latest report on TV. Recently, the police have confirmed the news of Dr. Cheng Huako's disappearance. Dr. Cheng Huako has saved countless lives diligently throughout his life, but unknowingly contracted an infectious disease that led to the deaths of 3 people. It is truly regrettable. After reading the entire report, I couldn't help but sigh. Good people don't get good rewards. This world is really unfair. He saved lives his whole life, but ended up accidentally killing his own patient. Dr. Cheng's soul must not have found peace. We should burn more paper ingots for him when we have the time. How fake can this man be? He lay down on the sofa without saying more than a couple of words after entering the door. He kept saying that his body felt like it was going to be hollowed out. I saw that he looked pale and thin, like he was suffering from kidney deficiency, but I didn't bother him about it. The man's name is P1-4-Manhwa. According to him, he and several friends live in this shared apartment building where men and women reside together. However, recently all the men inside seem to be weak and emaciated, appearing yellow and thin. Therefore, he suspects if he has encountered ghosts. So, he asked us to help him take a look. Upon reaching the destination, Little Azure held my hand and suddenly pointed at the apartment building in front of us, saying, "This building looks like a coffin." Upon hearing Little Azure's words, I suddenly felt that something was off too. This apartment building does indeed look like a coffin. When Inchi is exposed, there must be something secretive. No matter what demons or monsters may appear, they are all just snacks for Little Azure. There's nothing to be afraid of. Afterwards, we took the elevator. We arrived at the room where P1-4-Manhwa was staying, and the room was filled with an atmosphere of revelry. When she saw me standing at the doorway, a woman named Miss Dong with a thin waist came out and asked, "Ah Hua, did you bring friends to play?" P1-4-Manhwa blushed and replied shyly, "Yes." He then escorted us into the room, saying that we should enter first, and he would join us shortly. After entering the room, P1-4-Manhwa sat on the bed and said with a terrified expression, I have a bad feeling about this. In our shared apartment, there are 3 women and 3 men. We usually have a great time together, but I suspect that there is a dead person among us. Every Saturday night, we are always together playing. But every time after playing, I feel like my body has been emptied out. It doesn't feel right. If this continues, I might die. As I say this, I glanced outside and saw the 2 men who were still having fun. Now they are foaming at the mouth and lying on the ground. The vitality of the 2 men has been transferred to Miss Dong's mouth. At the same time, we have been discovered. Miss Dong waved at us. She then went into a room on her own, even offering herself willingly when she saw us. I don't need to keep you in suspense any longer. How can one catch tiger cubs without entering the tiger's den? In any case, let's catch up first before discussing further. Upon entering the room, she saw a man sitting on a chair with Miss Dong's head on his lap. I was also startled when I saw this scene. But the man didn't care at all, lifting Miss Dong's head and sucking in the essence he had just obtained, while reassuring her not to panic, as it was just a wine glass. This sweet wine is not easily obtained, as it is a condensation of the essence of people. It is harvested once every 7 days, which can be described as laborious. Does Mr. Chung want to have a drink with me? Seeing this scene, little Asher said that the wine glass is not dead. To be precise, the soul is inside the man's head. I asked him who he really was. What kind of evil curse is this? The man smiled lightly and slowly said, I am Gwiguli, heir of the Tomb Raider lineage. Beheading to make a wine glass, using a human head as a Yin artifact to absorb the essence of men, refining it into fine wine. Drinking it can strengthen the body. I know you because of my junior brother. When I heard it was because my junior brother knew me, the first thing that came to mind was a human head. You make human head cups, and there is also a human head lantern. The Dark Curse Master surnamed Hua is your junior brother. Mr. Chung is indeed smart. Gwiguli stood up slowly. I immediately pointed at the head-shaped wine glass in his hand and reprimanded. The soul of this woman's head is still in her head. Even in death, she can't rest in peace. You have to go steal men's vitality to drink as wine. It's simply outrageous and unreasonable. But Gwiguli said it was not wrong. He said, I turned her into a head-shaped wine glass because I love her. It was because of her that I became estranged from my junior brother. Mr. Chung, I won't beat around the bush. The reason I brought you here this time is to ask for your help. As far as I know, you have some grievances with my junior brother, Hua Howie. My junior brother said he wants to settle the score with you. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. How about this? I'll pay you 1 million to disable both of my junior brother's hands. What do you think? I'll be right back.